Did you just say, let's get curious?
Yeah, it was like
Ew.
Dan was doing a countdown. I thought it would like hype us up.
No, that had the opposite effect for me. That
I
was,
thought it could have been
oh,
a catchphrase.
I
I
mean,
misread the situation clearly. I thought
often
we
when,
did some t-shirt.
often when I'm this disturbed by something, um, certainly my sister will say, well, that means we're going to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like Dan has a similar sensibility where he would say, well, I guess, yeah, well, that's the catchphrase now.
Yeah. He's like, all right, I guess we'll make this a segment. We'll be doing this for
Wait
the
for the clip.
Let's
yeah.
get curious.
Let's
Oh
get
my
curious.
gosh. Okay.
Love it.
What are you guys
Yeah.
talking about?
I
Oh, good. I'm
right
so
before
glad you
we
didn't hear.
right before we started, I was like, I'm gonna get us hypes. I got the perfect. I got this. Let's get curious, and it backfired, and it was not up to
Oh, that's
par.
weird. What just happened?
I don't know.
What the heck
Let's
just
get
happened there?
curious.
We got a rogue rectangle.
Oh,
I will fix that for you
Okay.
right now.
look at
It'll
it.
make that
It's
bigger.
just-
There we
Ooh.
go.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Get back in
nice.
line, you rectangle. I'm in a box. You were telling me you were very proud of your lighting, and now I would like some lighting tips because I've been struggling with this.
Yeah, with the lighting tips.
Yeah.
I would love to get some lighting tips. First off, lighting kits.
Lighting kits?
It's always
Check.
Oh,
yeah, nice. Usually what you would like to do is that you want to have a main light and a sub light. The main light is kind of like it's like right on your face, and then a sub light is usually like it's at like a kind of a weird angle, or it's like in the distance, and it kind of gives it a more softer you jerk. You, how dare you? You put rice in front of my face.
The return of the race.
Dan was like, I think I can do it.
He's sounding
sorry,
a
I
little
forgot
too
to
sure
take
of
that
himself.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was telling it, yeah, I changed out the light bulbs in my ceiling, which helped a lot because they were like this disgusting yellow color. And it
I
was
like yellow light.
I like the color yellow. I do not like
But
the
you were dark. You were very dark in the
Yeah.
shots. Yeah.
yeah, I had to put like zoom filters on sometimes just because like I couldn't know what to do. But yeah, I mean what's the lighting kits you guys have? Let's see the setup.
Well, here's the thing. It's like it's as you're describing that, I'm like, I have sort of intuited that. I have this ring light right here, and I got my, what you call my noir lamp at a weird
Ah.
angle over there. But
So they're both meant to point out you, or they're the noir.
No, sometimes it's good if like Andrew, it looks like you have like a really bright light on you.
yeah.
And then you have like another light that's that's filling the other side of your face,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot softer because you have a really strong shadow going to your right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be good to kind of move that main light a little bit more.
That's the one that's farther away. But
Really?
yeah, but it's a strong light. So
Yeah.
It's super strong.
yeah.
My goodness.
Let's test it out. Let's see if that does it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take a look. We're gonna angle it. Maybe we'll even turn it off. You think that would do it?
Let's try it. I want to see what it
Let's
looks
try.
like.
try it.
I have a ring light right in front of me, and then as you were saying, I put this like a desk lamp on that points on the. I'll show you. Hang on.
Okay.
So there's this one, and
Okay.
then there's this guy. And
All
there's
right.
me.
Okay. Cool.
So what do I do with that?
I feel like I
Not much.
overstepped. I was being very confident, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I guess I genuinely have to answer these questions.
Well, you're the expert, right?
You're right.
You're the
You're right.
How did I do, by the way? Is this better?
Oh,
Now
not
I
great.
feel-
Oh no.
Now I feel I'm moving the other one.
I don't know. Dan, do you have any suggestions?
I'm sorry, I'm not following the conversation. Are you looking
yeah.
at lighting
even better.
suggestions?
No, sorry, Roland.
Yeah.
This is all you.
You're right.
This is worse now. Officially, I confirm.
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, I don't know, Max. I think your light looks good. Like it's good enough to like show your face.
But for Andrew, it doesn't work because it looks like the light is just coming from.
This is worse.
Andrew, you messed it up.
Yeah, you look terrible.
100%.
I look terrible.
Yeah, this lighting is not good.
Oh gosh.
I thought it was overpowered before, but now it's just like one very overpowered light on you.
Well, what if I move that even further away? Is that better?
I think you need to have it at. Wait, show me your light again. And can you show me where your light is, Andrew?
I can't. Well,
here's
where it is. Here's if it's really close. This is too close. This is the ring light. It's too close.
Okay.
It's too close.
I don't know.
That's very dramatic. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
We'll do a really dramatic show one of these days.
I like it. We should do one of those. What are those audio plays?
Radio plays, yeah.
Radio plays. Yeah.
Yeah, this is intense.
That is really intense.
Okay, so then that's it, just further away. And now you just tell me when to stop. I'm gonna move it out with my foot.
Stop, I'd say. Now?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does this look okay? We can also change the color of the light. We can make it bluer.
Well then, what's the setup? You started this shenanigans.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
So I'm fine. I'm gonna go ahead and say we're fine on my
Yeah.
end. Okay, great.
Just,
Wonderful.
yeah, I can't do much.
Thanks for the help.
What can I say? It's what I do. Basically what I have is just you ready for this 360? We got the nice lamp, and then we have one pretty good light on with a
You got some
proper
serious
studio.
lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then ignore my whiteboard because it's a mess right now.
Okay.
And I love how Roland's gonna be surrounded by rice, probably for the rest of the show.
Probably for the rest of the
life.
Let's just
For the rest of your life. Okay. You know what? Maybe I've been overpowering the been using I've been overcomplicating things, which I tend to do. So this is better.
I like the look of the lighting. I think you guys are all in pretty good shape.
I'm glad that we addressed this. I think
Yeah.
these were good tips. I think this will make my setup simpler, believe it or not. And yeah, I've been struggling with this for a bit. I've had to find the perfect place around my desk to do this. But now, here we'll even let's go the full mile here and just put that looks better. Now I'm not blending into the background quite as much as I was before. Although, does this seem a little dark now?
I was thinking that on your left side.
Okay.
But
we're gonna do one more thing because
try one more.
Because clearly the lamp is too much. But what maybe I can do is open my window and bring in some natural light. Let's see what that does.
That's where I'm facing the
Yeah,
window right now.
I can't face the window in my place. So
Fair.
give me one moment. We're gonna make one more adjustment.
Well, then you started it.
Oh yeah.
We're all gonna just a light.
I'm working on my green screen right now because apparently I'm just an idiot. So we're working on that. I don't know, it looks good when I use the background. Like it's pretty smart about where the green screen is. But yeah.
I think it works. Beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, this is
Good job.
going really well.
I think so. I'm having a great time. I hope everybody watching is enthralled with us figuring out my lighting situation. I will say, opening up my window, the vibe in here just got so much nicer.
You should try that. Face the real world out there. More
The
often.
what?
It gets better.
No, you're not wrong. It just I've been keeping the curtains drawn because it's LA and it's basically summer. We've had some really hot days over here. We hit the hundreds last week, and it's not even summer yet.
Yeah, it's so bad. North Carolina, it's like in the 90s, and then humidity is 90%. So it's,
Yeah, we did have a nice on Friday. We had like crazy humidity, but it was really cool. It was just like a nice day to be out.
We have had a bit
Yeah.
of a heat wave in the Northeast too the last couple of days, so feeling the heat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good
You guys are
podcast topic.
weak.
I
But
was gonna say, does Malta have like humidity problems?
yeah, and all year round. Like it gets super bad in winter because it just gets super cold. Like it's piercing through your bones cold. But in terms of heat waves, we've had constant 28 degrees, which I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
28.
More.
That's
been
My bad.
probably
I've been
70 or
speaking
80.
American.
That's
Around 80?
82.
Ah, look at that.
But yeah, we had constant 82 every single day
82?
for the last
Okay,
2 weeks.
you're
So-
calling this weak. You said 82. I'm not
Because
sure if
you
you heard
can
me
adapt.
say. I'm not sure if you heard 100.
Yeah, hundreds a lot. Hundreds a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know what 100 is. Okay,
Yeah.
137. Okay, yeah, that's hot. That's hot.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
So
yeah, I've
that's-
been working with like 34
that's-
Celsius.
No, June and July it's probably this for Malta. But
August.
it's just
So,
comfortable now.
I used to live in a guest house with no air conditioning,
Oh,
And,
yeah, those are always worse.
and we had a summer that the top temperature that we hit was literally 120. I got baked out.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I was
I
in
mean,
DC
surely your
one summer.
Body stops
Yeah.
working at this point.
I was trying to do auditions and with like in the booth in this thing, and so I'm just like making it even hotter. I literally was like getting heat stroke in my own living quarters. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I had to go outside into the 120-degree heat to cool down. Anyway, you guys watching
your
anything
body-
new?
Oh, Ozark. I
Ozark.
brought it. I'm obsessed. Is it Ozark or Ozark?
Ozark.
Ozark.
That one.
I'm obsessed. And I told you guys
Ozark
this
would be
in the
like
meeting.
its Australian reboot.
Okay.
Ozark.
Ozark. Oh,
Ozark.
very Russian version.
Yeah.
Ozark.
The Aussies would watch Ozark. Yeah.
Ozark. That's a good one. But yeah, Ozark is amazing. I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. And the new season of Love, Death and Robots is out. So I really hope it's better than the second one.
Is it?
But yeah, any fans?
I
Yeah.
haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I love the first season.
Same.
And the second season was all right. Like there were some good episodes.
I really liked about the people, like there's ban on for children to be born, and then how rich society essentially figures out how to cheat the deaf and stuff. They figure out the kind of serum of anti-aging. People stop aging and
Oh.
stuff. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think that
Wait,
was
what are
the
you talking about?
strongest episode. Love, Death and Robots. But the rest
Oh.
of them, it was like, yeah, whatever.
I don't know, the automated, yeah, I was like, was that season 2? I liked automated customer service, like where this one woman, like
I auditioned
all
for that.
her. Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, and you're not a fan. That's such a.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I am a fan. I think the entire concept of Love, Death, and Robots is a little bit of a cop out, but I like. I haven't decided if I like it or hate it, because it's just like giving independent animators these 3 general themes to do stuff, and I guess I love that. I don't know. Some of the execution, I was like, there's better ways to do it, but I don't know what they're working with.
I just thought that show felt like a Sci-Fi Network B grade sci-fi concept at least. I don't know how well they're
Yeah.
executing on it. I haven't watched it. That's just how the trailers come off to me. So I've never.
No, I mean
given it a
that's sort of how it feels when you're watching it.
Okay.
They play with you, and I after especially after first season, I had the huge existential deliberations with me after every episode, and that's what was kind of most compelling about the series.
Yeah.
How it's loaded, so it's not only visually and story-wise stunning, but like how much you can take out from it. I suppose that's how you can go back to Ozarks, and for me, how you do business, you can essentially take that knowledge and like really reflect or try to apply in your real life. It's quite, those sort of series work for me best. So you should definitely give it a try, Andrew.
Okay. Ozark, you're saying?
No, Love, Death, and Robots.
No, Love, Death, and Robots. Okay. I watched the first season, and I was into it.
Yeah.
Oh, so I thought you didn't like it. I thought that's what you said.
But that's the thing. It's like there were some that I really liked, and then there were others I was like, eh. You know, some of the really abstract ones are like they were just not even abstract. Oblique is is the word I was looking for. It was just like, what are you trying to tell me here? So, you know, I liked. There was one that was like the guy on the spaceship, and he was talking to a simulation of his girlfriend or something.
Oh,
like that.
I know what you're talking about.
That one was cool.
That's a scary. Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
one.
The
Yeah,
ending
it's like
I like the ending.
that was nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
really played with you.
but like it's not really something that you can give one opinion on because you're not watching one thing. It's different creators every single episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when I got the opportunity I auditioned for the automated voice. And I was like, this would be such a good one to do. But they went with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not that good of an actor.
Dang.
Well, I mean,
I
Martin
suppose you're
Lawrence can do
compelled
it.
to say that.
You know?
Yeah. I like it. I like the different like animation styles in it.
Yeah.
It helps,
there's
different.
There's some really good stuff happening out there in terms of like what you can do with animation. What I wanted to I thought we would do a review on it or something, but I started watching the new Chip and Dale movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I've just been like, that's a lot. It's like it's the new Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing.
Yeah.
And it's following this trend of Disney and Warner Brothers being like, look at everything we have, taking advantage of the multiverse trend where it's like everything exists all, and I gotta tell you, I'm really burnt out on it. However, there are scenes in this thing where, you know, Chip is done in traditional animation, like hand-drawn, looks hand-drawn,
2D,
it's 2D stuff. Dale is all like CGI. And then there's scenes with the two of them, a guy who's done in claymation and a live-action actress, all in the same scene together. And I'm just like, just from a planning standpoint, it's like, how do you put that together? And so it's, the jokes are cheap. The cameos are like, meh.
I heard Ugly Sonic's in it.
Ugly Sonic is in it. And like,
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, how did
that
they have to license that? I don't know how that.
I
how
think
would that
so.
work?
I think so. And like, they're really making fun of it. But those types of jokes, they really date the movie. And so this kind of thing is very impressive in terms of what can be done with animation and film right now. But the writing, the actual, it kind of comes off as just like cheap jokes that we can make,
Yeah.
one-offs. But worth watching just to see how they do those really hard to pull off scenes.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's that.
Yeah. I wonder
know
why
what,
we're going through this
Go
big
ahead.
multiverse phase right now.
This what?
Are you?
Well, like the multiverse phase that we're like movies seem to be going through right now.
Oh,
It's a
Yeah.
it's a disturbing trend because it's
Yeah.
really.
because
Go ahead.
no, I was probably gonna say the same thing as you. They feel like they can do anything with the story. It's just much more helpful. It's explanation to lousy writing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like throw
and-
into multi-universe to if you have a plot hole that you want to, or you want to bring a cool character or cameo.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, I'm looking at this and all it is to me is a marketing exercise, and it says, look at all the things we can put in. Like, this is why if entertainment companies were just stocks, you would back Disney and not Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers like, but we have Harry Potter and the Wizarding World, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's like this the multiverses game that's coming out. There's like it's all the it's everything that Warner Brothers does in one video game. It's like
I have noticed. I
Space Jam 2. It was just, oh, did you forget that Bugs Bunny and Rick and Morty are actually part of the same company? It's like, is this a movie or is this a corporate retreat? What's like? I don't need to know what you like. Tell me. I don't know how many times I'm gonna
That
say
is
this on the
amazing.
show. Tell me a good story, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Back in my day, if somebody had time travel, you just went with time travel. You don't
Time
have
travel.
to explain
Time travel.
multiverse theory as well.
I was gonna say try again. Maybe he'll notice.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet.
You don't have a what?
Oh, Andrew, look close. Look closely at yourself. Dan,
nice.
do it.
Oh,
What am I doing?
Oh,
it's got the Fast and Furious.
What? Oh, what's there?
Look at your little Vin Diesel and
I got
Yep.
Vin Diesel.
you have
And The Rock.
friends.
I
yeah,
got
you get The Rock
Dieseled.
too.
I got Vin Dieseled. Weird. Those are strange.
They're so
Why?
funny.
Why, Dan?
Just wanna,
Well,
like,
I mean,
up and
that
Give
shot
them
that you got
power.
behind you, it's
Yeah.
it's basically reminds me of what I think it was Fast and Furious 6, where they basically the final act is all in LA. It's
I will say in the Chippendales movie, there's a Chippendale movie. They make a Chippendales joke also. Like that's the thing. It's like the jokes aren't for kids at this point, and all
Yeah.
of these are like this is a movie for millennials, and that's also strange,
Mhm.
because like nobody's even talked about Rescue Rangers since it was out in 1990, and it was in reruns in 94 when I was born. So, but they're walking down the street and they're looking at all the different advertisements for bad movies that are going to come out and like reboots and all this stuff. So they have Meryl Streep as Mr. Doubtfire, and another one is they show Fast and Furious babies, and so
Wow.
it's like
What?
it's just posters, but like those were clever. That's again one really funny scene.
I mean, it's
To
this
any
is
of the viewers, you should check out Rolling Underground Baby Spinoff Show.
Okay.
yes, that was a good
It was an
episode.
episode I did.
Yeah.
Callback, as they say in the industry.
Hey,
Thank
call
you.
that.
I was actually gonna do a voice of Dan critiquing your TV themes ranked episode because I disagreed with some of your picks. I also think you left out quite a few.
No, I think I put it in the video. I had 64 shows.
I know,
That's how many. Yeah, and I could have gotten more.
but I'm
Wow.
like some of the ones you kept in there. I'm like I don't know why. Some of them I can understand you growing up in a different time. But like you didn't have any of the 90s Batman animation in there. And I was
Ooh.
like, why?
90s Batman.
And you had a
animation was
Spider-Man
good.
in there, but you didn't have the 90s Spider-Man because I had the most rad intro ever.
Nah, I watched the 90s Spider-Man growing up, and
on,
I stick by with what I said. Spectacular Spider-Man. Oh, that's the best Spider-Man theme song you could ask for. It's incredible. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Not at all.
No.
You're lost because that's a great song.
But that's actually made me. It's going back to our conversation about your age. This is why I think all thought you were older, because you have a very mature film taste. Because I think that's how we sort of weirdly getting to know each other through what kind of films we watch, what series we're into, and you know a lot of cool 90s stuff.
Yeah,
That's
So-
true.
so I grew up.
You did
with-
recommend Nixon.
That was funny. You can't deny that
That's
was
actually,
funny.
Yeah.
That
I
was
said that to
so
you-
cruel.
Yeah,
That was so cruel. 3 hours.
I've apologized.
3 hours. It was not a good movie.
You
Yeah.
showed remorse. Leave him,
Yeah.
Andrew.
So my aunt and uncle were 10 years, a little bit older than like 10 years older than me. So they were like my older siblings. So all their stuff, I basically got the hand me down. So I watched a lot of that stuff. My grandparents had a good hand in raising me. So I watched like some 60s and 70s. Like I watched all the decades. All the decades I had a
Watched
hand.
all the decades.
All the decades. So yeah, I will admit I do kind of have a weird. I remember when I was like 18, I was talking to this guy about Groundhog's Day, and we are having a conversation, and then we are talking about Caddyshack, and we are talking about all this stuff like that. And he was like, how old are you? Just out of curiosity, which is a great question to ask a teenager. And I'm like, how old do you think I am?
Yeah.
He said I was 25.
That
So I didn't know how to
happens.
take that because
Yeah.
I feel like I have a very young face.
Have you
You're just
seen any
25, but really good at shaving.
Yeah.
really good at the mustache?
The thing is, I'm not good at shaving.
No, it's tougher than it looks on the commercials.
But Max, you were saying something.
No, but shaving part, I agree. No, I was gonna say, have you seen any of the pre-code stuff? Because I'll
The
be
what?
interested. Pre-code Hollywood, like 1930s and stuff.
Pre-code. Okay. I mean, yeah, I've watched some of what's his name?
Clark Gable,
No, I was thinking about
Rudolph Valentino.
oh gosh, he made like the OG, like they go to the moon, and
Oh gosh.
it was like
Oh,
one-
Méliès. Georges
think-
Méliès.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched some of his work. I watched some Buster Keaton. I like Buster Keaton.
Nice.
Keaton's great.
I definitely prefer him over Charlie Chaplin. I'm just gonna say it.
I
Controversial, but-
I keep meaning to watch Charlie Chaplin's. I've never actually watched.
Oh,
Charlie Chaplin
start
movie.
with Kid. Start
Kid.
with the Kid.
That's a
Okay.
cute movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's for a silent film. That's just it's a real heartbreaker. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Kid.
Why
Hey, Nick
Eminem?
Dodson.
I love these lower
Is that
thirds.
spaghetti?
Because
Yeah.
of my segment, but why Eminem?
Is Eminem
Because
is
this mom's spaghetti.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, I like the reference.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like these. They're cool.
Good job, Dan.
I can't
Yeah.
believe.
I had to
feel-
dig deep for that one.
Yeah.
That works.
Have you guys seen Nosferatu? Since we're talking about old movies.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
The only time I
Yeah.
ever heard of that was in that SpongeBob episode.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Dan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I guess you kind of have to watch. You don't really have to do anything, but it's like one of those classic movies. I did not realize how much they stole of Dracula. Like,
Did
yeah,
you really? Wow.
yeah. Well, have you, Max? Have you read Dracula?
I haven't read it. I've seen the Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I know is kind of a close
Yeah.
thing, but I've never read the actual Bible, quote unquote.
could never read that lengthy thing because it's just like letters. But
Mhm.
I think I read like a little passage of it, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna read the Spark Notes. You know, I'll just
Of the
do
book?
that. Yeah,
It's a good
Yeah.
book. It's classic
I'm
book.
not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's long. But no, like Andrew, you probably get a kick out of Nosferatu because it's like it's so old and it's just like they steal. It's like it's just Dracula. It's just a different name.
Yeah, but I mean,
Mm.
it's not like they stole it. Like that was before they did Dracula as a movie.
Uh,
But
yeah,
they
but they
stole the
weren't.
concept from the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like it wasn't a secret.
yeah, but no, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, it's
it's
sort of in the public domain, so you can't really,
yeah.
was it
you
public
know.
domain at the time?
I don't know.
But here's the thing: the public domain stuff, like the rules over the years have extended, like how long you can keep copyright. So I'm
Yeah,
sure at that time that number was much lower, so it probably was, or maybe there was. I mean, I don't know how
Same
long
as
the
Winnie the
copyright laws have
Pooh
existed.
recently. Have
yeah.
you
Really?
heard of Winnie the
Winnie
Pooh
the-
recently?
He's public
Everything went
domain.
public. Yeah,
Oh,
because
that explains why South
They
Park
could,
was able to do that.
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
because
that's
the last person, or it just it expires after a certain time, as literally just Dan was saying. But that happened recently.
yeah.
man.
I think in
That'd
America,
be-
it's like 75 years after the creator's death.
After the
Something like
creator's
that.
death.
Which
Yeah.
they
So we
kept
got a long
extending. It
time
used to be a
until
lot
the Beatles
less.
go public
You know?
domain.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Disney company, it's like usually like 2 years before it's about to expire, they go to the Supreme
Mm.
Court and make a case saying how they should extend it. Because originally I think it was like 40 or 50, like it was really
It was in the
low.
30s even, I think. Like they
I
just kept
think 30,
adding like
yeah.
a decade, one decade at a time, essentially.
Yeah, but they keep redoing it so that
Well, because the thing is,
movies go
initially when
in-house.
they ran into this problem was when Walt Disney died,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they were like,
Mm.
oh, the clock is ticking. So
yeah.
So it's not passed down to the family. So it's not like with a property or inheritance. Because, for example,
No.
there's this whole Tolkien estate, right?
no, because it's to do it's
Yeah.
yeah, no, because IP is attached to the creator, not like it's not like
Well,
not
there's
like
also-
I don't think it's like the patent. Patent is different. Those are
It's like for songs. Like Michael Jackson bought the rights to a lot of Beatles songs,
Yeah.
and he would like collect royalties on those songs, and then once he died, I think some of the songs actually went back to Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I think I heard
Hmm.
something about that.
But
He also
because
bought,
recently they've
Eminem.
had a lot of it was in the news late last year, early this year, that some comic book writers are like, or Marvel is suing comic book writers or the other way around, because rights were set to revert to them for like characters like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, like
Right.
because they were the creators, and after a certain period of time the rights do revert. And I guess there isn't like a lot of rules in place, laws in place, that there's a lot of gray area basically. So that's why the court case, because like if there's a decision handed down at the court, at whether it's federal, district, or whatever, then that sets precedent on which everything else in the future can happen. But like there isn't a lot of protections there, or the system. There's because now I think it's only now, because when you think about it, back in the day, people IP, like today when we say Scooby-Doo or Batman or the Mickey Mouse, this kind of a intellectual property value era is relatively new still. So there's a lot of gaps in terms of like a lot what the law says. And these kind of cases or new laws that are to be passed will probably have to try to fill that stuff in, because now we live in such a digital IP first world. It's no longer
Yeah.
about just patents on a physical product. It's about like intellectual property. So
Yeah.
So
anyway,
do you happen to know what happened with Tolkien? Why there's this whole, how can you actually maintain the rights to? So I know there's
I
this
don't.
one fantastic series, the books that
yeah.
everyone's sort of fighting to realize, because it's one of those very rare fantasy sci-fiction stories, books that it's by a guy called Roger, it's the last name, and the family just does not want to release the rights to those books for anyone to make a film, because it would have been such a great series, but they can't do it. But so yeah, do you know, Dan, the process, like how does it work that some of those families actually manage to keep the story in their
Well, honestly, I'm not
whole-
100% sure exactly how that works, in the sense that it is possible potentially that that could have been handed down in his will or whatever, but that's also a little bit different in the sense that well, actually, is it different? It wouldn't be any different than the Jungle Book. Like what's his name? Rudyard Kipling is no longer alive, and the Jungle Book's been in the public domain for a long time, which is why you have not just Disney but other companies make Cinderella, for example, a lot of these tales. So the only thing I could think of honestly would be that it's somehow the copyright and stuff is handed down to whoever inherited it through a will or whatever, because otherwise it would be subject to the same kind of thing. I'm not even sure how long ago did Tolkien pass away, or because it may just be that
It's been a
term hasn't
while.
expired.
His son even passed away recently.
Wow.
Well, but like,
That's how
has
old
it been
he is.
75 years yet
Yeah.
since he passed?
Well,
He died in 1973.
Okay,
So
so
it's
that's
been-
still, there's time under the law that he still has the
Yeah.
copyright. So, because recently, it's actually there have been some questions asked internally at Warner Brothers, and especially with the new ownership, like how could they let Amazon outbid them to this new series, because Warner Brothers has done all Lord of the Rings related stuff up until the show comes out. And I think then there was another spin-off project that's been in the works. I think either a movie, or you might have been referencing the same thing or maybe something different, that Warner Brothers, I think, picked up on, or I think they were in a battle with Amazon. I'm not 100% sure of the details, but I know that the new Lord of the Rings TV show is not the only project at some stage of development right now for television or the theaters. And obviously Amazon won the bid for that by throwing literally, like, feels like $1 billion at it. They will definitely by the time they get to the second season. But then Warner Brothers, with the 6 or however many movies they've done for that franchise, they're trying to like get back into it, because obviously that was one of their biggest money makers alongside. I mean, can you believe how much
they are.
Hollywood has changed? Yeah.
You're very right, Dan. They're
Yeah.
adapting. So the Walking Dead creator, he's adapting Chronicles of Amber. So I was referring to Chronicles of Amber, which is just this fantastic science fiction series. And there was like years for I know fights to get this, because it's a really great story.
Yeah.
But fascinating. Wow.
yeah,
is
That's
Roland,
awesome.
please do the show upside down. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Well, you know what you should do? We should do that for the Stranger Things segment.
Yeah.
Oh. The upside down.
We can even change our colors to be like red. I can do that on my end. You guys don't have to worry about it. But guys, before we finish the pre-show, there's a couple of things I wanted to kind of point out, because I know you've been talking about TV shows that we have all watched. And I just want to quickly point you to, if you haven't seen this yet and you have Paramount Plus, or if you don't, then I do recommend get it, because if you've even remotely interacted with the game of Halo over the years, or like any version of that game, the game franchise, this show is one of those sci-fi shows that there's a lot of shows that set up a good premise. And obviously this is based on a property, so it doesn't have to do a lot of hard work setting up the premise. People can fill in the details if they know what Halo is. But a lot of shows kind of fall below the bar of expectation. This show, I watched it all the way through. The finale came out last week, and just a few days ago. And honestly, this show is one of the best sci-fi shows that I've seen this year so
Really?
far. It's not the
And the
best
game
sci-fi
was
show.
brilliant as well, right?
People
The
love
game
the
was
game.
very
Repetitive.
Yeah.
famous. Okay.
The game, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the biggest, gaming franchises in the world. It's quite practically was the biggest gaming franchise that kind of put Xbox on the map way back in the day.
Sure.
Like it's the reason why Xbox today is competitive with
Very
PlayStation. If it
influential.
wasn't for Halo, in the early goings, and it's always been exclusive to Xbox, so it's one thing that it's a competitive advantage. But anyway, the point is this show is.
Could you
Sorry,
tell
go
us the
ahead.
premise? Just like
Well,
what's the
so
story?
the premise is that this show takes place in the 26th century, and there's humans, and they've colonized basically most of the galaxy, and the Covenant are the alien species that you see on screen there. Those are the adversaries, the antagonists of the series, because between the two of them, the humans and the Covenant have been fighting this. It seems like they didn't really specify, or maybe I missed it, but decades-long war for dominance. Essentially, they're just both at each other's throats. And in the show, really what kicks things off, like why is this part of their history special, is the Rangers, the Master Chief and his crew, which you can see in the poster on the left. They find this artifact which allows you to gain access to some new piece of technology. They haven't quite defined exactly what it is yet, but they've sort of filled in some of the gaps. I guess if you played the games enough, you would know exactly what they're heading towards. But it's like a MacGuffin throughout the first season, that they're both chasing after these artifacts. There's two pieces of the artifact. They find one piece, then they find the second, and then they're in a race to put the two of them together to give them access, or a map to go find whatever it leads to. It's sort of like what the Force Awakens was all about, finding the last piece of the map to finding Luke Skywalker. Is similar in some ways to that. And I'll just say that overall, I mean, the show, it's got great action. There's times when the show looks, and on purpose, they've done a great job of making it feel like you're playing a Halo game. So they really do appeal to the hardcore fan of the franchise. If you like a Halo fan, you're gonna love, especially the season finale. It had like some straight up. It just felt like you were watching a video game, because they go in this first person shooter mode for some of the fight scenes, and you're like
That's cool.
inside Master Chief's head, and you're seeing like
That's
who's
really
shooting,
cool.
and it just looks like a freaking game. And I'm watching on my 65-inch TV, and I'm like, wow, I did not see this coming. And it's a pleasant surprise, because honestly, one of the things they had to do with the show was appeal to the core audience of the people who already are fans of the franchise, and
Yeah.
then
Do they talk
do
more
enough
about
to bring a
Master
new.
Chief?
Huh?
Do they talk more about Master Chief?
They
Like,
give him quite a bit of backstory. In fact, I think Master Chief's got the best character arc throughout the first season. There's some twists and turns along the way, and they leave the character in a pretty interesting spot at the end of the season. The best thing I like about the show was that the season 1 story felt like it came to a pretty good end, where if the show doesn't get picked up for the second season, which I'm pretty sure it already has, you would have been like, okay, it's not a cliffhanger in the strictest of sense. There was a bit of a cliffhanger to end the first season, and I just don't like it when shows do things like they give you a really bad cliffhanger, like something there's like you have to resolve it quickly because it's so essential to the core of the show, and then the show gets canceled, and you're like, I'm never gonna get to those questions answered, and people get mad. But this show did a pretty good job of not falling into that trap. Also, Steven Spielberg has been an executive producer on this, and he like not just walked into one writer's room meeting and said, okay, now I'm an exec producer, give me the credit. Or he was involved in the creation of this world and of the show. They've got a fantastic cast. Natasha McElhone, what's her name? McElhone? She's Irish. No, Scottish. Pablo Schreiber plays Master Chief. I'm forgetting her name, by the way. Natasha McElhone, I think is her name. But anyway, the cast is great, and I highly recommend watching this. It's on Paramount Plus. They got other sci-fi stuff too. Have you guys seen it at all? Anybody? Because the first episode they put up on YouTube. You can just go watch it for free if you want. Anybody?
No.
I have not. No.
No. Wow, that's disappointing.
Sorry.
I just said all these things, and okay, well, no, I didn't think you guys had seen it, but I mean, I think hopefully I've convinced you to go see. It's only like 8 or 9 episodes, so it's not a ton, but they're not like 35-minute Disney Plus episodes. They're like an hour a piece.
Yeah.
So, Stephen Kane is the executive producer on this too. He's like the lead showrunner essentially, and I think Stephen Kane's known for doing a lot of other prestige sci-fi. Are you guys sci-fi fans? Like, have you seen like The Expanse and stuff like that? Anybody? No.
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 I'm a huge sci-fi fan, but I haven't seen it. And just quickly going back to the series we were talking about earlier, I was quickly doing some research. They actually had a plan to develop the series in 2016, and it dropped. So we weren't talking about the same thing. But just so you know, I don't want to misinform anyone that that's not the series I thought they're developing. Sad.
Well, the other show I wanted to quickly bring to your attention, Amazon Prime. Who has Amazon Prime here?
That would be you.
I
No, am I
used
the
to
only
have
one?
it.
I think I have it.
I had
Like
it
the-
when Fleabag came out because I was in UK.
Fleabag was a good show.
Fleabag was a great show.
Have
It's the best series ever made, and
Oh,
it should be watched by everyone.
The directing, the writing is so good.
It's so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys do happen to get a chance, go watch Outer Range on Amazon Prime. It's fantastic. It's got Josh Brolin in the lead role. It's basically, I think I brought this up before. It's like Yellowstone and the Twilight Zone put together. And it's
Right.
The whole thing
That's a
about it
great
is there's
poster.
this,
That it's like the Yellow Zone or something like that.
yeah. There it's in Wyoming. It takes place in Wyoming. There's a couple of rancher families and they're sort of fighting over they're fighting over part of their property. And basically what happens is there's a big hole in the ground that supposedly is like a means to travel through time. And that's like the big MacGuffin of season 1. And trying to control that land for whatever reason, either Josh Brolin's sort of family, his family's not so much in it because they want to control it. It's the other family that's sort of antagonizing them.
How of course it's a different story and different premise, but how is it different to Dark? If it's time traveling, I'm just thinking
It's not
Dark.
It's not actually a ton to do with time traveling. Like the show, you see them time travel through it maybe once or twice. One of them is by accident. Josh Brolin gets pushed into it by Imogen Poots' character. There's a bit of a twist as to who she actually is towards the end of the season, so I wouldn't reveal it. But basically, she shows up on his ranch, says, "Can I just live in a part of your ranch somewhere?" And you got acres of land, so she can just go hang out in a part of it. The western half of it, I suppose, is what in the show.
Summary
and then,
that you said, Dan. I was gonna say the summary that you said, Dan, kind of sounds like another Amazon Prime show called Night Sky with J.K. Simmons.
Oh, I saw the trailer. Oh, no. So that one, here's the thing. I was watching the trailer because that show just dropped, like I think 2 days ago on Friday, right? And I was like, this looks similar. It's not the same thing. It's really not, because Outer Range is very much a Western, whereas this other show with J.K. Simmons and was it Sassy Spacek?
Yeah.
That show feels very different because I think in that show they lean a lot more into the whole time travel thing. It's sort of, all of it reminds me of, honestly, what was that show on Hulu? It was about the JFK assassination. It was based on a book by
10
what was
16 60 no
something
10,
63.
22, 63. This was James Franco. It was it was based off a Stephen King book.
Do you guys know the date? I'm sorry, I'm gonna look it up.
I
now.
don't.
11/22/63.
There was this
I said that. Okay, we're good.
time travel movie on Netflix around 2017. It was like this indie time travel thing. It wasn't like a super high budget. I can't remember the title. I loved it. No, it was like all unknown people. I just remember loving it. And I've been struggling to figure out what it is. Every time I look for it, I like search in Netflix for time travel, and it's not there. And it was like this guy's emotional journey, and it cuts back and forth through like all these different parts of his life and different interactions, and it's told out of sequence in a really fun way, and I can't find it.
Is it before I fall? Time Trap?
Maybe it's Time Trap.
So Time Trap.
What year did
there was a movie I think I brought to your attention a long time ago, Andrew. It was It's on Amazon Prime. It's like an indie thing that they put up there, and Amazon lets you do that. Where if enough people will keep watching it, they'll keep it on the platform.
Hmm.
And it was this mockumentary style kind of a documentary where literally,
Yes, oh, I remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
right, they're like interviewing these people about the creation of the first time travel machine. And then throughout the course of the documentary, they're talking about how they went back and they changed time. And the story kind of interweaves with time being changed multiple times.
Right.
So
Mm.
every time they interview somebody new and time has been changed again, those people's recollection of events completely changes and they're completely unaware
Yeah.
that
That's
time used to
awesome.
be different. And I'm like, that is the most accurate representation. If you believe in the time travel where it's not a multiverse, like many worlds
Yeah.
interpretation of quantum physics, and you're like the Terminator style of time travel, where you go back in the same timeline, you're affecting the same history that you came from.
I mean,
People would
take
not
this back
remember
to where this
anything,
to
you
take
know?
this back to where this started. Time
Yeah.
travel is so much more compelling than multiverse, and you can tell a really interesting story with time travel. And that's the thing, you really can't tell an interesting story with the multiverse. It's just, yeah, other stories are
It's
happening.
it's
It's
yeah, you get more coherence in time travel because you need to find magic points. Whereas in multiverse, I keep saying this, people just have a tendency to throw anything at you and be like, yeah, just deal with it. It's a different
yeah,
universe. It
yeah.
has to work.
Yeah.
So I'm completely expecting to see some remark to multi-universe in Love, Death and Robots.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Should
Um,
we talk about Avatar?
I was
We
gonna
should.
ask, literally gonna
Yeah.
ask, have you guys seen the trailer,
I saw the
Yeah.
teaser.
the teaser?
The teaser.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel teased?
Thoughts?
I
The question is, do we need another Avatar?
No, we didn't even need it. No, well, we kind of needed it the first time. We just didn't need constant repeating. It's back in theaters, everybody. Let's add some more revenue. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I have some negative feelings towards Avatar, so I'm gonna take a step back. I
Okay,
apologize.
that's fine. I saw Avatar in 3D when it came out, and was underwhelmed and motion sick when I got out, and I was like, "This is Pocahontas," and everybody who I said that to was like, "You missed the point of the movie." I was like, "Oh, okay. What's the point?" "Well, did you see it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And again, I get hung up on story, so that's that. The story didn't do a whole lot for me, but I think the narrative is, what if we could go to other worlds and we could live in other bodies and we could go to a place where everything is connected and beautiful, and
But you're missing the point.
I guess so.
Certainly, but no. But we can certainly appreciate the technical developments. How they
Yeah.
managed to put people and have them fully live act the film. But I completely agree with you. The story was Pocahontas.
The
And
story's
I
Well,
cannot
Pocahontas.
no,
forgive them.
but that's what I will say. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think most people who like the movie will tell you, yeah, obviously, the story wasn't something that was meant to be revolutionary, but it's kind of like the general story arc of that movie. You can, for example, Independence Day is the best example of an alien invasion film, but then I can point you to Battle of Los Angeles, I can point you to Skyrim, I can point you to any number of other alien invasion movies that are lesser examples of that basic
Yeah.
I think
story.
Stargate was great. Oh, I mean, it's not alien.
Right. Well, I mean,
invasion
in
per
this
se,
case,
but-
well, that's different. It's not like alien invasion in the same sense. But the point I'm trying to make is with Avatar, yeah, it was basically Pocahontas or something like that. I mean, even Star Wars is a straight up ripoff of Foundation and a number of other franchises. If you really start
Yeah.
digging into it, there's not a lot of originality to Star Wars too. But people love Star Wars. A lot of it has to do with the world that it created, the
Right.
VFX that they had to offer, the characters. And I
But
think,
on that note,
yeah.
I have never been a fan of Star Wars for that reason. It's like, it's a story I've heard, and yeah.
But
you
it's
can-
the story you've heard because of Star Wars.
No. It's a story. It's
Well-
the hero's journey. It's the myth of,
Oh,
it's just
Okay,
It's-
but that right on
the
this
wor-
level,
the
I thought you guys.
world building does nothing for me. World, it's like, yeah, there's always some world. There's always
Yeah,
details.
of
Fine.
course.
Eh,
But hero's journey, I completely agree. If we're talking about like that kind of like overview of like Star Wars, sure, there's stories
Yeah.
everywhere. But
Now, a friend
I
of mine is a
mean,
huge fan of Avatar. Listens to the soundtrack somewhat religiously, and was like just a big fan of all the visuals and yeah, just it casts a spell on some people, and you know what? Fine, that's great if it works for you. Art has a way of affecting everybody. Not everything's for everyone. And Avatar, if it really had that magical effect on you, and it had that effect on like my mom, who's made more than one appearance on this show, and maybe, who knows? But we should like celebrate art that touches people in a deep way, no matter what. So good
Not
on
hair
you,
touches.
good on you, James Cameron, because a
but
lot of people do feel that way about Avatar.
true, but missed out on opportunity because if you're making a film on this scale, you're bringing something completely revolutionary, like Matrix, for example, something that we haven't seen. There was a fresh story as well with that.
Yeah,
So they
but even the
could have taken
Matrix.
it.
Sorry, go ahead. I won't.
No. I can be done.
Um, I was just gonna say, even the Matrix has a relatively straightforward story. It's there's other examples that follow the same structure. I think, because here's the thing, there's no original story to be told. I mean, you can go down the whole the philosophical argument of there's only
There's
one
only
or two
7
kinds of
stories.
stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
I
1
mean,
or 2.
humans to be used as batteries was pretty original to me. I don't think there was anything like this before.
Well,
At the very least,
At least
there's
not in
different. At the
literature.
very least, there's different points to be made,
Yeah.
and you can tell a story that makes, that's the same like romantic comedies. Like, yeah, they meet, they love each other, they fight, they get back together. That's every
Right.
romantic comedy. But they, you can end one differently. They don't get back together, and that's what made even like the breakup really good, because it's like, yeah, that's just a real story, and it made different points about people. Avatar, it didn't. I guess you could argue the different points it made was like about the potential for existence in an avatar and what that could mean for somebody. I'll be optimistic and I'll say, if Avatar 2 is going to be, even better than Avatar, maybe that's because it'll have a better story.
I honestly, I'm not gonna be going into. Here's the thing, I'm gonna defend this movie not because I don't agree with you guys and from the story. Yeah, the story I think is ultimately relatively simple, but I think James Cameron, keeps the story simple, at least for the first one. I don't know about the second one. Although my theory is, if you've watched the teaser trailer, so far I feel like the story is going to be very similar in terms of
Yeah.
like the humans just like reloaded all their stuff and now they're back for more. And you basically have the same general arc, except now, Jake Sully and he's got a family with kids and, they're living underwater and all that stuff. So, all of that.
Are his kids human? Or is that something I.
You know what's
No, he got
weird? They keep
transformed at
showing in
the
the
end.
trailers there's one human kid, and I don't know if that's just his kid, because that
Yeah.
would be weird. How would that work? Or if he's just like one of those humans that's now on his side fighting with him versus the humans.
Weird.
Maybe they figured out the way how to do it the other way around. Like
Get
the
one of
Oh,
the
Navi
humans
to-
know how to. Yeah.
that'd be
What's
interesting.
the race called?
Navi, right?
The Navi.
Navi.
The Navi, yeah.
Navi. How Navis can sleepwalk humans. That would be interesting. See,
Well-
that's different. That's different. That's something to.
Yeah, I mean,
To
the thing is,
explore.
like, there's clearly a lot of imagination going into the movie. Yeah, some of that could go to the writing.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're just looking at some of these pictures they've already put out. This is not even concept art. I'm pretty sure some of this is like that's gonna be in the movie, or it may be something is like previs stuff, or it looks better than previs. But the first movie made over $2 billion. It's still to this day the highest grossing movie of all time for a reason, and it's because people went in to see this movie for the visual spectacle. It was a revolution in 3D film projection, and 3D film projection sort of over the years got cheapened because a lot of people did it the cheap way, whereas this movie did it properly. Like, it was shot for 3D and did a really good job, and I think if you watch it in the right environment with the best projection systems, it works well.
So I will say that when I saw it, I had a horrible seat. The theater was packed, and I was like off to the side, and the theater, the screen is like over here. And so I'm like getting a peripheral view of all of the things floating around, and I was just like, okay. I guess it might look better from over there. But yeah, so we'll see. I'll go see it. I'll see the new one, and we'll talk about it. And it'll be a good show.
It's probably gonna make $1 billion or something to that, because it has enough general audience anticipation and attention that I think it will still make the money. The first movie got decent reviews because they were like, they did the story well, but most people like cared about the visual effects, and I think that's
When did it come out?
2009?
9, yeah.
It's
December?
been a while. It would be
13
interesting
years.
if the fandom kind of maintain like
Well,
uphold
exactly,
it,
but
is that right?
then they released this teaser, and there were like hundreds of millions of views within just a matter of days. And this teaser played before Doctor Strange in theaters, so
They didn't show it to me.
Huh? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, in the US at
you
least
said
it
there was a teaser before Doctor Strange.
Well, this teaser trailer that we're
Wow.
talking about, that we have all the images from, they were playing it before Doctor Strange in theaters for a week exclusively, and then they dropped the teaser online a week after the second week of Doctor Strange being in theaters. So, yeah, I think
No, in Malta.
I think I mean, it could be different in international markets. At least in the US, it was playing before Doctor Strange. But yeah, it should be a good film. It's gonna be worth looking at. I'm gonna go watch it, at least for the visuals. I mean, story aside, I thought the movie was. It's not one of those movies that if you were like on a plane and you want to watch the movie, you put it on. Some of my family members did that. I'm on their second or third viewing. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Because this movie doesn't really hit you unless you watch it on a big screen. It's one of those movies. Yeah.
Funny enough, the second time I ever watched Avatar was on my flight from Bali on the plane.
Oh God, you're that person.
Just to kill the time. Yep.
You're that person.
Just to kill time. It's
Yeah. I mean, what else could we expect? Mom spaghetti and now this.
I was intended. The intention was to make Lady and the Tramp. Whatever you take out of it, Dan, that's on you. The intentions were pure.
All right. You know what? I think we have had enough of this pre-show. I'd like to move on now.
Okay. The real show. The actual show. Well, thanks for the lighting tips and the in-depth discussion of Halo and Avatar.
Yeah.
Wow. If you thought that was good, the actual show?
You're in for a treat.
You're in for a treat, you people.
Let's get curious, guys. No, still doesn't work. All right.
No.
We just went full circle.
Curious.
It's like you have a big watch to press. Let's get curious.
Oh, really? It's happening. Okay, I'm ready. Hello. Hello, guys. We're oh so curious. We're today, 4 curious minds trying to tell time. I'm filling in for Andrew, who's absent just for a moment. Oh, he's back.
I am not absent.
He's back.
I
I did a great job of
I'm-
hosting just now, so just so you know, I made you proud.
Okay. Well, I'll go back, I'll look over the tape, and I'll see if you actually did make me proud. I have no doubt that you did a wonderful job filling in for me while I took care of some pressing business. Anyway, Roland, are you here as well?
I am.
Well,
Hi.
hey. Hey, and welcome to the show. Good to see you. Mr. Lighting over there.
What can I say?
And Mr. Dan. How you doing, Dan?
Hello.
Thank you, Mags, for what I can only assume was a brilliant introduction to the show.
It was. I stuck to the script. I did not go off the rails. So
Really?
clean, simple, hit the spot. Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're watching, be sure to comment and let me know the truth about whether or not she did a good job, because I can't be sure until I watch this later. Anyway, I think it's going to be a pretty good show today. I just have a hunch. We have a lot going. Who's doing the rundown? Anybody want to do the rundown? What's going on the show today?
Let me see who can we can actually pick somebody.
Roland volunteered. Do you want to do it?
No, Dan has a system. I want to.
Dan has a system.
I have a
Let's trust
system.
Dan. What's going on?
I'm terrified.
How are we gonna do it?
Yeah.
And I'm just rolling a dice here.
Oh boy.
And so who wants to be assigned what number?
I want to be 3.
3. Okay.
5.
1. Wait. There's how many? It's a 6-sided die.
It's a 6-sided dice. 2 numbers won't count for anything. So if I roll that number, we'll just do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do 1.
Dan, what's your number?
I'll do 5.
Okay.
Oh, Mags is 5.
I'm 5.
Yeah.
Okay. What numbers are not taken? I guess.
All the even ones.
Look at that.
Sorry, you
Okay,
gotta
4.
pick an
I'll do
even number.
4. How about that?
4 is a good number.
Okay.
Boy, we really want to figure out what's gonna happen on the show.
Wait. So who's got which number again? Just give me your assignments one more time.
1.
5, 1, and 3.
Okay.
I'm just gonna hold my fingers up. I think
So
that'll help.
if you roll a 2 or a 6, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
We're doing it
Okay.
again.
Yeah. And you have 4 done. So I would do 4.
Oh,
for
actually,
you.
those fingers are really helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Actually,
Awesome.
it's other way around. So it's 4 for
4.
you.
4,
And yeah, and I'm 5.
5, 3, and 1.
This is a
Okay.
good show so far, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're playing
All right.
games.
Okay. Rolling a dice.
Oh, you literally have
You
it there in
can't
your
cheat.
hand.
Don't cheat.
Well, you just have to trust me on this.
I
And
don't.
I've rolled a 3.
Look at that.
I don't believe you,
Roland.
but okay.
All right, Roland, tell us what's going on the show today.
Dan was like, it's a 3, I guess. So let's do the rundown. First off, we have the quick hits. Then we do a little Top Gun preview. It's always fun. Next up, we have a Stranger Things 4 preview. Represent the Upside Down. Then Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sorry. And then my favorite topic, we're going to be talking about A24 horror and giving it a little bit of a spotlight, as you will.
Ooh. It's packed.
So you have no
show,
dice.
guys.
You just said you have no dice.
I know.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I totally
I
have
knew
a
it.
dice.
I saw him do this. I was like, I'm not hearing.
You guys are accusing
It
me
was
of things that are
convincing.
not true. It's just
Yeah.
not true.
Good acting. Good
This
acting.
is-
It was very
This is-
convincing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's gonna be a pretty good show. Shall we begin with
I think
the quick hits?
we should start this.
Let's do it.
I think here's what happened this week. Starting off, we had the international premiere of Top Gun Maverick, the Tom Cruise-led sequel to the 1986 hit, arrived at the Cannes Film Festival this week. Welcomed by fighter jets flying the red, white, and blue colors across the sky. Cruise was then surprised with an honorary Palme d'Or before the film received a 5-minute standing ovation from the audience. The movie is only a few days away now, so are you feeling the need? The need for speed? We found out this week that the previously rumored Daredevil revival at Disney Plus is moving quite swiftly. On Friday, Variety broke the news that Matt Corman and Chris Ward are now attached to write and executive produce the show. Their previous works includes the USA Network series Covert Affairs and NBC drama shows The Enemy Within and The Brave. The real question now is, will this be a reboot or season 4 of Daredevil, continuing the story from its Netflix run? Speaking of Netflix, they dropped the first 8 minutes of Stranger Things 4 this week, also revealing that Volume 1, releasing on May 27th, will consist of 7 episodes. The remaining 2 episodes will be part of Volume 2, dropping on July 1st. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 will be movie-length running, 98, 85, and almost 150 minutes. I mean, pay attention, Disney Plus, with your 635-minute episode seasons. Next up, Variety reported that this week they should expect a big cast exodus after the 47th season of Saturday Night Live. Pete Davidson, A.D. Bryant, Kate McKinnon, and Kyle Mooney are all expected to exit, so the show will look quite different next year. Lastly, the biggest Bollywood movie of the year, RRR, is now streaming on Netflix. So if you didn't check out the period epic in theaters or if the movie wasn't playing near you, no worries, because you can now watch it on Netflix from the comfort of your couch. And that's it. Them's the quick hits, as they say. And by the way, are you ready for Top Gun Maverick? Well, our very own Mr. Andrew Frankel has watched the original 1986 Top Gun to get himself ready for it, and he has kindly graced us with a review. So check it out and let us know if you enjoy being on the highway to the danger zone.
That just got curious.
A little lifeless body just floating away.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now we have to talk about Top Gun Maverick. Oh boy.
Yep.
All right. I'm not sure if did you guys see what
No,
what I
that
said about
5 minute standing ovation. Should we?
Yeah, it must have been
for
really
Top
good.
Gun?
Mm.
For the they got a 5-minute standing ovation for the new Top Gun
Well,
movie?
At Cannes.
So what actually happened was Tom Cruise got surprised with the Palme d'Or, and then they gave I think him and the cast like a 5-minute standing ovation. Then they played the movie. I think it happened in that order.
They got the ovation before the movie?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
I've read multiple reports. Some of them make it seem like they watched the movie, then gave the movie a 5-minute ovation. Others make it seem like they gave Tom Cruise the 5-minute ovation. I mean, at any rate, the fact is, the movie and the people who made the movie got a 5-minute standing ovation. And if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, the movie's sitting at like still in the 90s, I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can pull it up.
How does the 5-minute standing ovation work? Because nobody
We'll just
reasonably.
clap.
Yeah, but there's
They
a
do.
certain amount
June-
of time. where you're
June
just
got
like-
7.
Yeah,
feel
but
like
is that? I
that's-
feel like at that point they just have a sign that says clap, clap.
Yeah.
and
Clap.
Dare stop clapping.
I
That's
don't
an
think that's how
unreasonable
it
amount
works.
of
But
time. No matter
it's
how
crazy
great.
long.
What
don't
are they
like-
even applauding?
Exactly.
What are they like?
If I saw
Okay.
the most groundbreaking film that I love so much, it hit every mark for me, I'd give it, I don't know if I would clap for more than a minute. That's a lot of exercise going in with all that clapping. All right. That's a lot of constant sound going on. That's unnecessary,
Yeah.
personally.
Okay, so have you guys seen Top Gun? The original?
I've seen the OG.
Okay, Mags, you seen it? No? Dan?
Never.
I have.
Good old
Yes.
volleyball scenes.
You have. It's
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, it's got some volleyball scenes. Okay, so it's a weird movie. I'm not gonna lie. It's a weird movie.
It's like the
Um,
most 80s movie you can find, probably.
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. There's if you've seen the review, I don't know if you have.
Oh,
but
we
it's-
haven't put. It's coming later in the show.
in today's episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
We got. Well,
oh,
actually, no. Wait, hold on. You're talking about the Top Gun review. I'm mixing it up.
Yeah.
That's already up. So if you
Yeah.
if you follow the channel, you can watch Andrew review Top Gun, the 1986
yeah.
Top Gun.
Which
Yeah.
was
But the most, I think the
ahead.
most 80s film was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like,
I think that's closer to the mark for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
is
Um,
it? But
No, you
So
know what I
why
mean by
would
that
Top
though.
Gun-
someone. So why
Yeah.
would someone watch Top Gun in the first place? Would you have to be interested in apart from Tom Cruise in order to watch Top Gun?
So I
Well,
think
you
the
would watch
selling-
it because you're a fan of aviation. I think
Yeah.
that's. Yeah.
Okay.
the selling point is they got a lot of, I guess, groundbreaking aerial footage of these planes taking off and flying, and it was cool. And the selling point for this next one is there's a whole new system for getting it, so it's like a bunch of different cameras, composite shots. So you can really feel like you're in the plane for the whole thing, and that's neat. But again, they do nothing to drive the plot forward. So
the new movie, they actually shot like everything that is shot. There's only one CGI sequence throughout the movie where the plane is not real and actually not in the air. So the new one, I know the old one, they had a lot of stuff where the VFX shots, they had a lot of like miniatures and like they shot a lot of shaky footage stuff. Basically, they had to use a lot of Hollywood magic to make the sequences look as real as they did. In the new one, they didn't do that. They didn't cut any corners. They actually put the people in the planes that like IMAX certified 6-7 cameras. Actors had to operate their own cameras, and make sure the lighting was good, do their own makeup. Because like here's the thing, those planes are millions of dollars. It costs per minute millions of dollars to operate those things, per hour, whatever. So once you go up, they're like, okay, we're on a flight now. It's whatever happens at this point happens because this flight is paid for. We're not just going to turn around and start again. And there's no remote control when you're thousands of feet in the air. So the actor is literally directing themselves. They're, calling their own takes and doing their own like makeup touch-ups and all that stuff.
That's cool.
And then they had another pilot like in the seat actually flying the plane. Yeah.
That's insanely risky.
Well, they had apparently they had thousands of hours of footage that they used to cut together this new movie, which was oh my god,
that is
that's
something
insane.
that comes across in the original, where it's like, okay, they just had a lot of extra plane footage, and it doesn't. Again, you're just sort of like, all right, there's a plane, great. If you love planes, you'll love Top Gun. There's possibly the weirdest sex scene I've ever seen in a movie, in Top Gun. This was about to enter into the review. I didn't put it in there. Just the kissing in it was some of the weirdest kissing I've ever seen in a movie. If I could demonstrate for you momentarily, rather than a joining of lips, what we have is two stiff tongues and unmoving lips touching. Like that. As weird as that felt for you just now, that's how I felt watching the movie. I was like, I don't like that.
That's the 80s cheese right there, That's how I took it.
Oh my.
I don't know. It was like...
No, I'm not saying that's a strong point of the movie. I'm just...
Not at all. It was...
I'm not defending it at all.
Feeling. Yeah. I felt icky.
It's let's just say that's not the kind of movie you were expecting to watch with that rating.
I'm gonna watch it right now.
You have to watch it now. Watch my review first.
I want to watch the kissing now.
Or at the very least, watch the scene of Sleep With Me, where Quentin Tarantino is doing an analysis of it and talking about the subplot of the movie. Which, by the way, after that, they changed one of the lines in the movie, and I think they actually they dub it in and animated the lips so that it looks like it's always been that way. But the old line in the movie was, they finished their mission, and these two guys have been fighting, and Val Kilmer says, "Hey man, you can ride my tail anytime," and Tom Cruise goes, "No, you can ride mine." So they changed that to "You can be my wingman anytime," and this was this was
a lot of innuendo
changed.
in that in the dialogue.
The movie is nothing but innuendo.
Yeah, there's a lot of
the crux of my review.
Yeah, there's a lot of coding in there. That's
quite a bit.
But just to kind of draw this back, because I feel like we're talking a lot about the original, rightfully so. I mean, to kind of set the stage, but this movie, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is,
I don't know how you could make a sequel to it. And it's like, are you gonna?
No, exactly. I agree.
Are they gonna double down on the innuendo? That's my big question. Are they gonna double down on that for this?
From everything I've seen about it so far, that's not the case. Because if anything, I guess you could say the way at least it's meant to be taken is a lot of those elements that we're talking about is like the 80s and just movie at the time could get away with that stuff. The
Mhm.
world we live in today, there's some of that stuff simply just wouldn't fly. Pun not intended.
Good one.
But
I just see I just quickly watched the sex scene, and I actually I understand where It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia get their Dennis
Mm.
sex scenes, essentially like a complete psychopath
Yeah.
mode. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's Top Gun. That's good.
Classic.
Actually, I'm glad to get the reference now. So it makes me want to watch Top Gun. So as I understand it, the movie's huge deal that's coming out, right? For a lot
it
of
is.
reasons.
So now that we have set the stage for what came before, yes, I agree with you, Andrew, 100%. That first movie was meant to be a standalone, and it
Yeah.
stood alone for 3 decades plus, like 86,
Yeah.
2022. What is that like? That's well over 3 decades. So. And when it comes down to it, ultimately, the Tom Cruise described it this way at the Cannes Film Festival, where they premiered the film internationally, and he had like this conversation session after the fact, where he mentioned that he went to Paramount, saying, "Hey, look, I didn't want to make this movie, the sequel, until I thought that there was a good story for it." And then when he went back to Paramount and said, "Like, yeah, let's do this again." He's basically the producer of this film, like in a lot of ways. Like he devised a whole training program for all the actors who were going to be in the planes. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
it's a situation. Yeah, so these actors are all taking some real heavy G's when they're flying in the planes. They're not just sitting them in the plane, putting a green screen behind them, and then you're just watching them act on a static plane on a tarmac. They're actually in the air flying, so you feeling all the effects. Like there's shots in the movie where, like, for example, let me just pull this up here. We started off the show with this. Look at this image here. This is Tom Cruise in an actual F-18 that is actually in the air doing that maneuver. So you can see in their eyes, and then like when the G's start hitting, you're clenching up your face because you're desperately
Yeah.
trying, because the G's pull your body down into the seat. So you're trying to keep yourself straight and keep control of the plane. So there's a lot of realism that comes as a virtue of that. So I think this movie does a lot to rectify all of those things we talked about that the 80s movie did, that this new movie just simply couldn't do because of the time that we live in today. A lot of that stuff, like I said, wouldn't fly. But then there's a lot of stuff that this movie does where it has a bigger budget, because obviously flying in actual F-18s versus doing miniatures of them is a lot more expensive. And
Yeah.
so the sequence is a lot better. And when you look at the reviews so far, I'll just draw your attention to this. Right now, the Rotten Tomatoes rating sits at 96%. That's got 135 reviews.
Now go
So-
to the Rotten Tomatoes page for the
Yeah.
original.
Okay. All right. We could do that. You're not interested in listening to any of the... No, okay, never mind. Let's talk... Okay. Top Gun over Moscow. 90. I would want to see that. 57.
People
Yeah, the
forgot.
audience still liked it. 83%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 50.
No, look, like I said, I agree with you. Like, I think the original movie was terribly monotonous, as New York Daily News put it, or the aerial. Well, they did. I think the biggest compliments the original film got was its aerial sequences, because a movie like
Yeah.
that had not been done.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies here, because this movie, it's sort of like taking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 80s or 90s and then comparing it to the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's just a different level of production value involved. And I think that's, like, here's the thing. I'm ready to make some proclamations about this movie. I know I'm the most excited about this film in general, but I'll say this right now. This movie is going to do for Hollywood what the first Iron Man movie did. And I'm not saying this is about to launch the Paramount its own version of the MCU or anything like that. No. But what the original Iron
The
Man
military
movie did,
cinematic universe.
No, I don't think that's
Alright.
what this intends to do at all. But what I mean by that is, culturally, it's going to set a trend for the kind of movies we see in the years to come. Because this movie, I am pretty confident, is going to break $1 billion, and it's not going to be one of those, like, movies like Joker was still a comic book movie, so even though it was a standalone, it broke $1 billion. It didn't do anything to kind of change the tides in terms of trends at Hollywood, because it was just another comic book movie among dozens that we see every year.
No, it was. I sorry, Dan, but I disagree. It was
Yeah.
character investigation. That's why that
No,
film
I
was
see.
successful.
I know what you mean.
How much further can you take the
right,
guy
but
who flies the
genre-wise,
plane?
ultimately, it's a comic book property that it's treated
Wow.
with much more realism, right? Whereas this movie, if you just look at the genre of this film, it's harkening back to a different time in Hollywood. And I think this might lead us to seeing more movies of the like, which I would welcome wholly, like entirely.
You're making my mind wander to some pretty weird places right now, and I just wanted to share that with you. Because you said if this is the beginning of a new trend of these kinds of movies, and the joke that I made was the military cinematic universe. But just last week, or last time we got together, we were talking about how like we're done with superheroes and superpowers, and what if we start having these military type movies where the characters are like Deadpool or Iron Man, and it's like, but suddenly they're showing everybody the military, and we just go into this whole like pumping up the military, you can be a hero, like kind of military propaganda films. Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh,
No, not at all.
Wow.
No, not at all. No, here's the thing.
Okay.
This movie.
it
That's
is a
where my
little bit
brain
on
went.
brand for America. I'm just gonna
Imagine.
say.
No, you guys. Okay. Here's the thing. I've read some reviews about this film. I've done a lot of research on this already, so nothing to spoil like anything big. I don't really know exactly how the story unfolds, but I know enough about it to know this movie knows what it is, in the sense that thematically, a lot of what this movie focuses on is the idea that Tom Cruise's Pete Maverick Mitchell is a man out of time, essentially, a relic from a different time that's long past us, that the world has moved beyond. And so it plays heavily into his character arc, and it plays into the story of the film, that we're moving towards a world where there's drone pilot, drones that take over the role that fighter jets used to have, that nowadays fighter jets don't engage in air-to-air combat at close range anymore. Most fighter jets fight beyond visual range, so they're firing in missiles and ammunition well out of sight of any enemy. And this movie kind of shows how much Pete Mitchell is somebody who sort of is still stuck in the 80s, like where we left him in the last movie. Not like I'm talking about, like, the trailer says it. In the trailer they mention, I think in the very first trailer you have Ed Harris's character showing, just kind of going over like, hey, you refuse to die, you're still a captain 30 years later. Whereas in this movie, Val Kilmer's character from the original movie, he's like an admiral. And I think in the movie's story, he's the one who on whose recommendation to bring Pete Mitchell in to train this new crop of pilots for this specific mission. So I think this movie does nostalgia well, and ultimately I'm excited for it, at least. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll change your mind, or you'll change your mind once you see the movie, but I'm personally very excited to watch it.
What does Val Kilmer look like these days?
Oh,
unrecognizable.
Andy, that was. Yeah.
I'm just still hanging on this whole. What if it's like one big propaganda to have this spike of in the military the next few years? I am so keen on that. Like, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but this is very plausible.
As you were saying that, I was like, yeah, you could easily do the military cinematic universe, make people charismatic, and take out the superpowers and be like, you could do this. And it's like, hey, it's that guy from the Navy movie. He was really funny. Oh, he's in this movie? Because they're all in the military. And it's like, you have Infinity War, but it's just, with North Korea or Russia, or like, you could.
But this movie doesn't
kind of do that
though.
on USA.
Do they?
Yeah.
They don't do the. Yeah, go ahead, Roland.
Well, I was gonna say they have what is it? They have like a firefighter show. They have an ambulance driver show, a police show, and they all come together for this like 911.
You're talking about the NBC Chicago franchise.
Yeah.
Chicago Fire,
yeah.
Chicago PD, Chicago Med. Yeah. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. If you look at the ratings for that show, they on average get 1 to 1.5 million viewers per week, and even their crossovers get very little viewership. It's on Network television, which means it's basically dead like my camera's battery. But it's a franchise that's mostly appealing today to older audiences because it's on network TV. This movie, I think, is meant to appeal to a much larger audience. So what you're looking at with this film, it's not about, like I said, it knows what it is. It's not treating military with like this awe-inspiring image. It's more about
No, it's
the
not the awe that
characters.
I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
It's the levity. It's the levity and the likability of the characters that I think is going to be the angle they take to make, a soldier the Ant-Man of the army, or the Iron
Well,
Man
I haven't
of
seen the movie,
Navy.
but
Yeah,
I
we
wouldn't be
haven't.
surprised if by the end of this movie Pete Mitchell is not alive. And that to me
Mm.
is going to be like what they did with the James Bond franchise to finish that off. They were like, they'd made a decision that in decades past they never would have made, which is to kill off Bond. In this final movie, obviously, then you move on to a different direction. But I think that will ground it. I think this movie will be much more grounded. Again, I'm defending this movie so much, and I may hate it when I go watch it. I'm watching it on Tuesday. It's an early screening, so I'll
Yeah.
post my review. But yeah,
Looking forward to hearing it.
yeah.
All right, well,
Let's go.
shall we move on?
Let's do
Yes,
it.
but before we do, if you guys have watched it already, if you watched an early screening, let us know what you thought, or if you're excited about it, or if you kind of agree with 3 out of the 4 people on this panel that this movie's. I love it, but anyway, let us know what you think about the film so far, and if you're gonna go watch it, we'd love to hear from you about that. Now we can move on.
Okay. Oh boy.
An Andrew one.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this because I think we are in an age of labeling people and identifying people as one particular thing. This is won't you please join me on a linguistic journey behind the word nerd, which I take issue with for the next 7 minutes. Roll the tape. Are you a nerd? Do you really even know what a nerd is? Well, let's consult the dictionary and let's see what a nerd is. A person considered to be socially awkward, boring, unstylish, etc. A second definition, an intelligent but single-minded person obsessed with a non-social hobby or pursuit. Example, a computer nerd. A foolish or contemptible person who lacks social skills or is boringly studious. How is it that we got to a place in society where people proudly declare, I am a nerd? I remember years ago seeing a anti-bullying video and a lot of advertisements. The idea being, take pride in being studious and in being intelligent. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and it's not. However, these went a step further and declared that it's cool to be a nerd. They would go even further to say, be nice to nerds because they may be your boss one day. Actually, they're going to be your boss one day. These are people who went on to go to great schools, study quite a bit, get jobs in tech, and yes, a lot of them are doing very, very well. When did everybody become a nerd? We all started using the word awkward in 2006, 2007. Awkward was just this thing that we added to the end of jokes. It was something that made us funny in the moment, to acknowledge awkwardness. And then to embrace it and to say, you know what, I am awkward. Well, fine, I'm awkward. Everybody started saying, I'm awkward. It's okay to be awkward. Everybody's a little bit awkward. We did start to get our wires crossed a little bit with geeks. Now let's look up the word geeks. Geek, okay, noun, a digital technology expert or enthusiast. Well, everybody has a computer in their pocket these days, so yeah, are we all geeks? Maybe. A person who has excessive enthusiasm for and some expertise about a specialized subject or activity. Now, this is interesting. We got nerds and geeks mixed up. Suddenly, it became very cool to go to Comic-Con and to dress up, to cosplay. We saw it like in Step Brothers, where it's lair or LARPing in real life. But there is something going on with the culture where we are egging people on to have this excessive enthusiasm about stuff, things you can buy. This is my big contention with the word nerd. We are people who express our enthusiasm for things by saying, I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to pay $300 to go to a convention and get an autograph from a person. Okay, I'm going to buy this replica. I'm a nerd. Well, there's something about being told to be proud about who and what you are after they've told you who and what you are. And the way to show your pride is by buying things. This new crop of Marvel movies started coming out. Were we all into Marvel from the beginning? No. Everything can really be summed up with the Futurama meme, shut up and take my money. That's what you are right now. That's what a nerd is. You're not somebody who is particularly intelligent necessarily. In fact, if that's how you express your nerddom, that actually makes you an incredibly gullible person. And I am not a nerd. I've never called myself a nerd. I don't subscribe to the whole idea. I don't just give my dollars to somebody who tells me how to think. I don't have a problem with nerds, with real nerds, people who are single-minded and are really good at what they do and express a genuine enthusiasm for one particular subject. You know what, fine, that's great. However, I think it's a good thing to be well-rounded and to have a lot of interests. And I don't think most people in the world can be described as having only one interest. And I don't think people who just describe themselves as nerds are only interested in the thing that they're nerds about. I think right now it's very popular to be into Marvel movies because they're made for everybody. They're impossible not to like. They're scientifically constructed to be appealing to every person in some way. So, you're not you're not a nonconformist. You are literally become the biggest conformist. I'd also like to take issue with the idea of the nerd aesthetic. We used to have this caricature, this stereotype of what a nerd was. This guy with a shirt tucked in and walked around awkwardly with big old glasses. And, well, people with big old glasses who sort of do this finger wagging thing about how things are supposed to be and what the actual case is, and who are particularly well informed, or would have us believe they are. The bigger the frames, the more intelligent we're supposed to think they are. I am more disturbed by the particular trend of telling people, here's what you are, be proud of what you are, and that way we can sell these products directly to you. That's what it is. That's what this whole thing is. It's not pride. It's creating demographics you can sell products to. So, no, you're not a nerd. You are a consumer. You're what con artists would call a sucker.
Wow.
There
That
is
was,
the standing ovation.
Oh, do I get 5 minutes standing ovation?
I can do 5 minutes.
That
I'm
was
glad
Wow. Wow.
you went there, man.
I did. It's been on my mind for a long time.
Props to you.
Glad you liked it.
Beautifully done.
Thank you.
Speaking of nerds.
Speaking of nerds, let's talk about these 80s nerds.
Yeah.
These Dungeons and Dragons dweebs from the 80s.
The nostalgia suckers.
Okay, so back from nerds to back to the 80s nerds. We are looking at a photo of bowl-cutted teenagers from what is this, the 5th season of Stranger Things? Is this 5?
I think it's
Oh, it's
4.
season 4.
4. It's been around for a long time. This thing started in 2016 and it just keeps going. They are no longer preteens. They are full-on teenagers now. And
Yeah.
as we've attempted to say, some of these episodes are going to be movie length, and we're going to endure quite a bit of this time warp. Are you guys still excited about Stranger Things all these years later?
I mean, I am. I've always
Yeah.
liked Stranger Things. The first season was so creepy and cool, and then you get invested into the characters. You know, I'm a big character guy, and I like the friendship that we get to see, all the different kinds of friendships that evolve, and so I'm still interested. I want to see how this goes.
Same.
Yeah.
It
Are
was
they-
something new. When it came out, it was just a complete showstopper. Because it
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
something that no one was
Absolutely.
doing before.
I
But
really
are
liked the
they-
first season.
But don't you guys feel like they're pushing it maybe too far? That it's getting to the point where I think we discussed this on last week's show, where they just will push it to its limit, and the story will just completely fall apart and
Well,
lose the charm.
I think it already lost its charm. You know, the kids, they're just you know, they're teenagers now, and they've invented new characters, and there's that really weird episode where 11 goes and lives a different life in the city, and it was
Yeah.
weird, and I thought, you know, what is this anymore?
I think I'll
Apparently-
definitely have to watch the season. I don't know.
I'll watch the recap, the previously on.
Yeah. I think the big problem is that because they started off as kids, and now that it's, you know, it takes a lot of time to get these shows in production and development with all the writing and that goes into it, and also the CGI. So whenever the next season happens, it's 2 years later. And
Yeah.
so you really see how far they've changed. So it makes it seem even
Yeah.
longer that the show's been going.
Well,
And
at this-
it's just a nice cover up also for it, in like the time. You cannot escape the time. This is the charm, or like the downside of working with children actors.
I
You
don't
can
think
see
so.
months in
I actually don't think
No,
so.
you don't.
I think
Okay.
this was planned because on the metaphorical level, the entire show is just about puberty. If
Yeah.
you know, it's like the entire concept of these 4 boys, they start growing up. One starts going through his own issues and changes, and then they meet this girl, and the girl has this whole other life experience to deal with. She's going through some really weird stuff, and there's like this relationship and the whole. I mean, I don't know how deep into this you really want me to go, but the entire idea of the upside down, like when you turn a person upside down, what do you see? And that's really what I feel these monsters are. It's the whole show really is a metaphor for puberty and the changes that you go through in that time.
I never
Watch it
seen
again.
it.
Watch it again.
Interesting.
I have watched the series twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been sort of watching it as it was coming out, and then when the season came out, I watched the first one, and when season third one, I watched the second one just to kind of prep for it. And I never took that. I'm usually good at spotting these things, but to me, it's just a huge coming of age story that
Yeah.
we're fan of Goonies and things like that, and then have Stranger Things being set in the 80s. That's why Firestarter, I think, was really good. Speaking of like 80s vibe films, it just worked perfectly.
I
And
like
the redhead
Firestarter.
kid has powers now. Oh yeah,
So
Actually,
why would the why
did you
would
see
the
that
other
in a trailer?
why would the other girl have powers?
They ran out of
Well, sure,
story.
but it really is
Yeah.
that we'll see how it all goes. But that's I can't watch that show without thinking how it's working metaphorically.
Mm. We shall see.
Yeah.
Dan saying there must be an explanation. They have hours to explain. These
Yeah.
are going to be some long episodes. So if you like Stranger Things, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to watch. And I think they're spacing out the release of some of the episodes so that they
Yep.
can keep you watching for a long time.
Volume 1.
And also, you don't. It avoids probably binge watching it, because a lot of people, I think the downside of binge watching is it's like people just have it in the background and they do their own thing. Whereas here, audience will be more forced to, lock their eyes and their attention onto the
Right.
screen. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they
You guys
changed
watched-
their tactic.
Yeah, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, you guys watched the first 8 minutes that they put on YouTube?
No, I'll
I
watch the
haven't.
first 8 minutes when I watch the other first, 34 minutes of the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Just, I don't
Part of
like
me
this
wants
shit.
to, but then another part of me is I already know that I'm not gonna want to like fast forward 8 minutes when I start
Yeah.
binging it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still excited. Like I want to watch it.
It's one of the better made series on Netflix. I mean, it blew up and became a huge part of the culture. 80s nostalgia
Great
is
marketing.
huge, fantastic
Yeah.
marketing. Just the opening credits alone, I will never forget the first time I watched them. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah,
like,
you're zoned.
The
Yeah.
music, the fonts, and just the minimalism of like zooming into the letter. It was like this could be cool.
Yeah.
It's not as scary as I wanted it to be, and I did have some other thoughts on like how cool the idea of the upside down could be if they elaborated on it differently. Especially when they have those scenes where Eleven's like visualizing it and she can see other people like in Russia using it to like talk to each other. Like that was there's some really cool places you could take psychic communication with other people who can access the upside down. I think that
Yeah.
hasn't really been
It's
explored.
lacking. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
hopefully we get to see some more of that and a little more experimentation with the mechanisms of how people can communicate in the upside down.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard to keep that horror element for so long just because that first season was great because you didn't really understand the character. But the longer the show goes, the more you have to talk about the creatures and
Yeah.
mind. And, the more you know about something and the less ambiguous it is, like the less scary it is because you know of it.
Do you
I mean,
remember the
yeah.
redheaded girl's brother? To me, when
Oh,
they've run out
sure.
of ways to, explain horror, the monsters and stuff are upside down. I think bringing in the real life threat as a form of a brother, just another teenager, was very clever to just
Yeah.
sort of explore a bit more tragedy, bit more horror coming from other sides, not just supernatural.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They tried different things for sure, but we're
Yeah.
gonna watch it. We might not binge watch it, but we're going to
Yeah.
watch it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
And we're
we'll
gonna
review it.
review it.
We
Oh,
are.
yeah.
So let us know if you're going to watch it. And speaking of beating a dead horse, I heard there's a new Star Wars show coming out.
I have no patience for this. Why don't you two talk about this?
Right.
Yeah. So
Are we are we staying or are we having a sign off?
I don't know. I haven't really seen anything visually
Hey.
wise with the preview, so I've just been talking, hoping for the best.
Are we getting a cue?
Good.
No, I'm back. Let's talk about Obi-Wan. What do you guys
Because we
say?
don't have the feed of all of us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what's
I
happening?
don't have any
Oh, let me
feed.
see if I can fix that for you guys. You have to give me a second here. Let me readjust my self. That never unfroze, did it? I see what happened. Boom.
There we
Yeah.
are.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering, like, I'm not paying attention because I've got like multiple screens in front of me, so I'm not paying attention to everything all at once. I just might have made a reference
movie.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah. By the way, just to kind of wrap up my thoughts on Stranger Things, or give you my thoughts on Stranger Things, because I wasn't there. I'm excited. I think people are sleeping on the show. It's this kind of show that it's going into the weekend. I think it's not the biggest thing out of the three things we're talking about this week, but coming out of the weekend, it might be. It might just become like the sensation that a lot of Netflix shows of the like have become over the years, and because there's 2 volumes to it, I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of cliffhanger. So the 2 episodes that they'll leave until July 1st, people are gonna be talking about the show for a lot longer than they usually would have if they dropped the whole season all at once. But anyway, Obi-Wan
There he
Kenobi, to be
is.
specific. Ewan McGregor is back. He's back, baby. He's back in the galaxy far, far away, and so are we. Let's talk about the show. Mags, you are the resident Star Wars fan, or the super fan, because I know we all, to a certain degree, like Star Wars, but you probably like it more than any of us. I mean, am I saying,
Correct.
Roland? I don't want to assume on your behalf.
Correct.
I sort of did. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never, just kind of a hipster boy. It was very mainstream to like Star Wars, so I never got onto it. I mean, my friends like it.
Is it though?
Good
Is it
for them.
mainstream?
Very.
I always
Yeah.
explain it. It's a generational thing. If your dad, your grandpa, if your family is into Star Wars, you just end up growing up with Star Wars. So for me,
Yeah.
it's more of a nostalgic effect by now, more than those films are great. It's hard to say those films are awesome when I've seen so many amazing films out there. So I cannot agree with, I cannot fault you from that. Star Wars are not good films per se. They're boring, absolutely. But Obi-Wan's back. So how do you guys want to talk about it?
Okay. Here's how I figured we'd do this. Right. So
Yeah.
there was a recent article. I forget if it was in Variety or Entertainment Weekly or which magazine or The Hollywood Reporter, but basically they highlighted all the different Star Wars shows that are in development: Endor, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and a number of other, Mandalorian. They did like this whole photo shoot, and Kathleen Kennedy did an interview, and as part of that, they mentioned, how they're now trying to push out like 3 shows a year, and then Star Wars Celebration is coming up. I think it might be this weekend. It might be happening right now, as we are doing the show, or it might be next week. I'm not 100% sure, which I think it's this week, honestly. But they're announcing, I think they're set to announce a couple of movies too. I think Kevin Feige's producing a Star Wars movie. Taika Waititi is going to be doing a movie. I think that Patty Jenkins movie is still in the works. But when it comes down to all of those projects versus this project, I think this project, more so than anything else, holds a special place in a lot of Star Wars fans' hearts, because this show, more than any other currently ongoing Star Wars property, connects directly back to something that George Lucas created himself, meaning in this case the prequels.
And it's super hard.
So it's very difficult, because I think with that comes a whole different set of expectations that you don't get with some of the other shows or movies, because they're sort of based on the characters and stories in the world that George Lucas created, whereas this is a direct continuation of something that George Lucas created, worked on, wrote, directed, produced.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky part is everyone were kind of also just tired of Skywalker trilogy. So how do you talk about Skywalkers or like that time without bringing Skywalkers back over and over?
Yeah.
For example, the great success of the film that just worked as a solo film was Rogue One, which essentially takes place in a similar time as Obi-Wan series. But it worked because you have this connection between the old new trilogy and the old trilogy, which just works. Like that connection of those 2 points just worked. And yeah, it's it took a lot of balls for them to explore that. Obviously they had to check first, but I think the fact that the series is being made by Deborah Chow, who's inspired greatly. She's a head writer for this series.
Yeah.
She took her inspiration, not inspiration, but just sort of like the way she wants to explore the character from the way they did Logan and Joker, just really go in depth with Obi-Wan to see the consequences of his doing. Because if you look at it, he messed up everything. It was because of him. It was his portraying of Anakin that led to Empire to rise.
Well,
essentially.
yes, but I want to kind of bring this back to the show because that sets the stage, right? That sets the stage for what this show is going to be, and kind of where we left off Obi-Wan last. Not the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy. My question for you would be, if I am somebody who is a Star Wars fan, or if I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I happen to have Disney Plus, or maybe I don't even have Disney Plus, and I need a reason to get Disney Plus and watch the show, what are the 5 reasons why I should be watching the show?
Sorry, pardon me. I just strategic cough in the worst possible moment. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes.
First of all, Obi-Wan is one of the greatest characters in the whole Star Wars universe. And it's because he is one of the greatest Jedi. So obviously, if you're into plot, his character arc is very interesting. It's very well portrayed by both actors, Sir Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor. And it's one of those characters that just hasn't been butchered yet by any intellectual property that touched Obi-Wan. So because you don't really get Obi-Wan in games, you don't get Obi-Wan we didn't have an even reference. We had Yoda coming back in the newest trilogy. We never had Obi-Wan. So it's exciting to explore the character that we just thought is gone. It's going to be great. Second point would be that we get to explore events happening between episode 3 and 4, which will fill some gaps without affecting either of the stories. So as I mentioned briefly earlier, we had the same thing done with Rogue One, which was obviously a great success. Third point would be Deborah Chow, which I already mentioned that point. She was a great choice for the head writer and the director because
and
of
to
her
anybody
inspiration,
who doesn't have context on Deborah Chow, what else has she done for Star Wars before? Because this is obviously not, I don't think this is the first thing she's done for Star Wars, right?
No,
She's a big
she's a
time.
Mandalorian, right?
Yep. It's her only acting credit. Fun fact.
Or directing?
Yeah.
Or acting.
No, in
Okay,
acting.
She's acting as well.
She's a big time.
No, I
TV
see
director.
I see what you're trying to say.
And
Okay,
Boba
okay.
Fett then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But she's
she did
directed a
great.
lot of like big shows. She's done an episode for like Vampire Diaries, a lot of the Netflix Marvel shows. Like she did Iron Fist and Jessica Jones. She was on Better Call Saul. Like she's done a decent amount of stuff.
She really went after those series that just work, and
yeah.
But
to have her do
what's interesting to me about this show is so far we have seen Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, and we have seen The Mandalorian. We have seen 2 Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, and in both instances you've had a number of directors direct a number of episodes. You've seen like Bryce Dallas Howard, we have seen Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni,
Robert Rodriguez.
Chow, Right, Robert Rodriguez. We have seen a number of directors come in, and Taika Waititi. Like I'm not even mentioning all of them. They've rotated a cast of very talented people in the director's chair. But what's
Mhm.
unique about this Obi-Wan show is they've got Deborah Chow not just being the showrunner, but she's directing like every episode. She's not just there for a few episodes, or she's the showrunner, but she only directs the season.
Yeah.
It's a limited series, so the series premiere and finale, she's directing every episode. So do you feel like that? What kind of consequences do you feel come from that situation where you have this one person who sort of can then apply their auteuristic style across the board?
It sticks.
Yeah.
They learned, and the Variety article, which I read at like 4 a.m. when it came out, I couldn't sleep. I pulled it out and I just started reading. The interesting thing is they said they really learned on their mistake, that they really noticed what happened with the newest trilogy when they rotated. You know, we had J.J. Abrams, then we had Ryan Johnson, and then J.J. Abrams again, and obviously that didn't work. There was a major clash. So even though it worked for Mandalorian a lot of the times, they still managed to split Mandalorian in a way that every episode did feel like its own thing. So for episodes, it works. But I think with something that you're tapping into, where the story should be set in one place with one time, with, you know, one sort of taste, I think going for one director is probably a better shout rather than having a multitude of them, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
It keeps a consistent voice,
Yeah.
so I completely agree.
That's what I was after.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
I was just keep going if you think, because are we finishing my list or no? Because you told me to prep the list.
I thought
so
you went over all the
list.
points already. Okay, well, all right, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I've got two more.
Yeah. Okay.
Insights into episode between 1 and 3. So I know episode 1 till 3 is highly discredited and hated by a lot of people, a lot of fans, but
they had their
obviously
good parts,
the old,
you know.
They had their good parts, and there's just a lot of backstory into how Empire came into existence. A lot of those questions that people ask me, knowing that I'm a Star Wars fan, I always just refer them, hey, watch episode 1 to 3. You have everything explained. Half Darth Vader became Darth Vader and things like that. So I think keeping the same cast from episode 3, it's a nice marketing strategy to sort of have people go back to those 3 films that are probably the weakest. And last but not least, Disney did great so far with the property. I cannot say they mistreated Star Wars property so far since they took over. And obviously Boba Fett was a little bit weaker, but Mando was obviously phenomenal. So I'm hoping they're gonna bring this one up. And I'll rest my case. Go and watch Star Wars. Is awesome.
Those are all good reasons to go watch the show. Roland, I have a question for you, right? So one thing that a lot of people seem to notice or criticize Star Wars about since the Disney era of Star Wars, at least, is they're not interested, at least, you know, the Disney or Lucasfilm under Disney is not interested in exploring a lot of new ground. They're more interested in filling in the gaps from what was already established in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And this show, in a manner of speaking, is kind of doing more of the same. Whereas, for example, Rogue One, which I think personally for me is the best Disney era Star Wars project, TV show or movie, I think Mandalorian's probably sits right below that. But both of those explored new ground. I mean, granted, the time period where they take place is very much in line with the original set of movies, but they did something very different that we haven't seen from that world of Star Wars before. So the question that I have for you is, do you think this show is making a mistake by going back and again filling in the gaps between episode 3 and episode 4, or depending, I mean, there's a way to do it and there's a way to do it right, and we just haven't seen that happen yet?
From what my friends have told me, it's like a 30 years period, isn't it? It's something along those. No, it can't be 30 years. It's like
between that. No,
there is a time jump, isn't there? Because
between 3 and 4,
yeah,
it's like 9-10 years. You can see.
Well, no, I'm talking about between episode 3, where you see Obi-Wan at the end of that movie dropping off Luke, to where this show picks
3 and
up.
4.
Yeah, so that'd be like 20. Right. The point is, there's a big chunk of time. From what I've told, there's like hints of it with like Clone Wars, the TV show.
It took a lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Because
Okay.
well,
I don't know.
because Anakin Skywalker's not Anakin, Darth Vader is in the show, and we have
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen coming back, and I don't know how much we're gonna see him. So they are gonna seemingly at least retread some of the ground that the animated shows covered, right?
Yeah.
Not yeah. Not only.
They got a Ahsoka. Is that it? That's the
Yeah.
that's
She's getting her own show. Yeah.
yeah.
She
I
was
don't
the young
know. I really
Padawan.
don't, people. You gotta know. Like, I just hear from my friends. I hope for the best. I think I retain it. I probably not. Sure. There's a big time period in between. Might as well take advantage of that. People like Darth Vader, you don't really get to see him, do a lot of kick butting in the OG series. So I guess it's
But the question I was asking you was primarily aimed at, do you think it's a good idea to fill in gaps of story? Like, you've seen episode 3, you've seen episode 4, and everything this show is about is filling some of the gap in between those two movies. Some of that stuff is obviously new, you've never seen that before, but largely it's not charting new ground. It's not moving beyond those stories. You're sort of revisiting something you already know. And do
Yeah.
you think that's a good idea or not?
Well, as somebody that has avidly talked smack about just doing stuff for nostalgia and just making the easy buck.
Yeah, it's the worst question to ask.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best positive person to ask that, but it's like they it's the smart thing to do. It's hard to establish new characters. They did that with Rogue One, as you said, which went good, but you can't always trust that. So they know it's a for sure, like, oh yeah, people are going to see Hayden Christensen. Yeah, they're starting to like him again. Let's bring that guy, get out.
Even though he was the most hated person, right? Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's sort of,
And
I think
they like you
this
now.
could be his redemption. This show could be his redemption, honestly.
I mean, a lot of issues with Hayden Christensen in the old new trilogy was that he had poor direction. It's not even the matter of him acting.
Are you calling George Lucas
direction.
a bad director?
He's not the greatest director. This is a known fact.
Just kidding. Yeah, I know. Those movies weren't.
And
yeah.
But it's, as Roland was saying, it's a nice way to go about it, about something like investigating a character in depth that we just can assume what happened.
Okay.
It's just a clever way. It's a safe ground for sure.
So
but how much longer can we stay in Skywalker saga though? That's another question. On the other thought, the plan, the roadmap they released, they're going to be making a series which shows what happened 100 years before we had Anakin even born, which is
the Old Republic.
Really, really exciting to
right.
The Old Republic, exactly. Which I don't think is related to any of the video games, but
well,
there's going to be even more questions answered.
Game? Didn't they have Old
Republic?
Republic?
But it doesn't. Okay. But it happens thousands of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is not quite the Old Republic. I think the Old Republic is more like thousands of years ago.
It's far, but people are, interested in Jedi. They're interested in Sith Lords. They're like, how does it work? I get a lot of those questions, and there's so many books about it or games. But yeah, so, I'm really excited for this series. I think that series might be big. Yeah.
Just to kind of put a period on this. This show's coming out on a very busy weekend of other properties. You've got Stranger Things season 4 dropping 7 of its 9 episodes. You've got Top Gun coming out in theaters. If you happen to like Bob's Burgers, you can watch the Bob's Burgers movie coming out in theaters. You also have Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out on Disney Plus, and it's going to drop its first 2 episodes on that Friday, on the 27th. So what I think at the end of the day, we've talked about what we're expecting and why we should be excited for the show, but in your ideal world, what would you like for this show to be? Like, I think personally for me, I'll start by answering the question. I would love for this show. I think this show would work best if it was like Mags, you kind of pointed to, an intimate character study of Obi-Wan, and from what I've heard from some of the producers on the show, and they've mentioned this is going to be a dark show. It's going to go to some dark places because it is ultimately taking place at a time where this man, whose entire life as he knew it was completely destroyed, and now he's a man on the hunt, being hunted by all these, people who are working for the Empire. So for me, this show, I think, as long as it balances all of those action sequences and the big story world elements with the intimate character story of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it becomes like a great character study, it's a limited series. I think that's the format for me this show would work best as. Without having seen the show, I think that's what for me this show should be. So for you, what should this show be, regardless of what it ends up being? Max, you can.
I mean, exactly as what you said. I think this. I mean, I'm coming with it as with Mandalorian. I had no expectations. I just went with it, and I had my heart and mind open, and I was sort of rewarded. I don't have expectations, but from what I've read, what I can see is happening to it, it's looking like a good start. So my hopes are high.
Roland?
Nice. Honestly, I don't think you should care what I think. I think this is a very fan service project, so you should care about the fans. Think about them before you think about bringing in a new audience if you're going to go with this concept.
Well, no, but the question I'm asking is, for you,
exactly,
in an ideal world, what's the best version of this show do or look like? Like, what does it explore? I mean, knowing what you know about Star Wars, which I'm not saying you know a lot about Star Wars, or whatever you do know, ideally, what would the best version of the show do for you?
Like I said, don't treat the audience like an idiot. I think this is a fan service thing. I know what you're going to say, Dan, but I'm sticking by my comment. Because if it's a good content and it stays true to what it's going, then that should make me want to say, you know what, maybe I'll try these other things if it's like this. So
okay,
yeah,
all right. Well,
it's like with people being worried that they say, oh, sorry Max, but I'm not a Star Wars fan, and I'm like, of course you're not. Like, why do you even apologize? It's completely, it's for fans, and you just need to you're either a Trekkie or you're a Star Wars, or you're neither.
You can be both.
And the world goes on.
I'm a fan of both. You can like your Trek and you can like your Wars and do it all up in the stars. I even like Battlestar Galactica. But if you guys if you're listening, if you're watching, let us know what you think about this show going in. You've seen probably the article we were mentioning earlier, talking about what Star Wars shows are coming out in the future, the movies. Star Wars Celebration is happening this month. Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming out in a matter of days. And this is going back to Ewan McGregor's version of Obi-Wan. It's going to be a limited series directed and produced by Deborah Chow. What are your expectations? Are you going to like it? Are you not going to like it? Do you even care the show is being made? Or if you do care, then what do you expect to get out of the show? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, like and subscribe to the channel. We do appreciate that. Okay, so up next, we have got another episode of Hey Magdalena. And it's going to be featuring some tasty food that was, I think, originally from that Eminem movie 20 Mile. What was it? What's the name of the movie?
8 Mile.
8 Mile. 8 Mile.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong about that? Or no, it's The Lady and the Tramp.
No, it was. What did you do? Did you butcher my masterpiece?
No,
yeah, he got so into
the
joke that he didn't even realize what he was joking about. That's how it.
I suppose. Okay, so in all honesty, we were talking about meatballs and spaghetti and we were referencing The Lady and the Tramp, right? That's the Disney animated movie we were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
so
was
not
the
Mom's
initial...
spaghetti. Not Mom's spaghetti. Okay. Out of honestly, that would have been my preference, but I'll watch it anyway. Let's see what Mags has got cooking.
Oh, the hankers. Guess what we're cooking today?
All you need is 1 carrot peeled, chopped, 1 onion peeled, chopped, half a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano, or just Parmesan, 1 giant ass garlic, chopped, 1 can of chopped tomatoes, must be tomato, 200 grams of spaghetti, meatballs, olive oil, salt, pepper, parsley. Yeah, just go crazy with that one.
Okay.
We're
Mags,
back.
I just want to say you did fantastic.
Thank you.
I personally couldn't hear it, but it looked
Nobody
great.
could. I really hope you guys will watch it, and I'll make you hungry.
Yeah,
So-
for
Okay.
sure. Totally.
Okay.
Cool.
So let's talk about A24 horror, specifically
Yeah.
Men, who just came out. Have you guys had a chance to see this, or should I just mansplain this?
Yeah, please mansplain it
Eh?
if you can. I
Get
would
it?
appreciate it. I hope you do.
Mansplain
Thought
it.
it'd be
I
good.
was
So-
gonna rent it. I was going to rent it, and then I
Oh.
realized I couldn't because it's too soon. But
Yeah.
as soon as I can,
Same.
I'm going to, because you to say about A24 horror, and to prepare
Oh no.
movies.
He
and
literally
what really
asked.
is that secret sauce?
Okay, he's back. Repeat that, Andrew.
Oh,
We
is it-
lost you for a
oh,
second
no.
there.
Yeah.
You literally asked about it, and I was like, "No, your internet's fine." And
Yeah,
then
you've been
All
perfect
right.
until you said something about it.
ask us again.
Okay, I might have to go and fix that. But so because I couldn't rent Men, I decided I wanted to prepare for your in-depth analysis of what the secret sauce of the A24 horror genre is, because you seem to think that they're doing something different.
Yes.
So, do you want to hop right into that, or do you want to talk about Men first and what we can expect there?
Well, Men's a hot topic, so if you guys don't mind, I'd like to give it just like a quick
Frame
little
it.
summary. And
I think that's a good way to go. Just frame
Yeah.
it first, and then we can unpack it.
so,
So, what's Men?
Men is of course, it's that A24 surreal movie that they love so much, but it's from Alex Garland, who also did Ex Machina, another A24 horror film.
Oh,
And it centers around Harper, who is trying to recover after seeing her husband fall to death. And, that's a whole thing, and the trauma that comes with that. And she thinks it would be good to retreat to this, beautiful countryside. And it just becomes into this slow thriller where there's this repeating actor, Rory Kinnear, who
Right.
every time like a man shows, no matter like who it is, it's him in a different wig or like different little this. And it's so uncomfortable to see it, because sometimes like the CGI, like A24 has really good CGI, so why would they do it? And I personally think they did it to make you more uncomfortable, because the conversation is awkward. There's like some weird chunky feeling to it. It's like, why would you have this
yeah.
voice to it? But it's it just kind of slowly unravels, and it's an A24 horror. That's what
A24. So
Yeah.
let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Why A24? How did that even become a thing?
A24 has just been like, it's always been like, what would happen if you got indie filmmakers and these indie scripts, but you gave them full-fledged production value, like you
Yeah.
really
Right.
finance the life out of them. So you see these beautiful cinematography, you get these really surreal shots, and the symbolism that that sweet symbolism. You're gonna see a lot of that. And there's
what's with nature also, like the whole going back to nature, because from what you described, Men is also about this, people retreating to
Yeah.
nature and nature turning back on you.
yeah,
It's
nature
essentially-
and rebirth is a
I think, well, that's
Yeah.
actually, I think that's a legitimate fear for a society that has become so in love and enamored and overcome by technology. We're a very soft species right now, and as soon
Yeah.
as my dad always says, as soon as the plug gets kicked out of the wall, we are screwed.
Ooh, that's a
Exactly.
good quote. I like that line.
That is a good one.
He's a branding marketing guy, so he can come up with a good line or two.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
I completely agree with that. A lot of A24 horror films deal with the danger of nature and how it's something that has been going through centuries of time. So why would technology help you?
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. Men was a great. Yeah, we got Men up there, so we got to keep talking.
No, go for it.
But I was gonna say Jesse Buckley. I don't know if you guys watched. What was it? It's
Come
called
on.
The Guild.
The Netflix one. No,
Yes,
okay,
it was.
different film.
You know what I'm talking about.
Was
Maggie
with
Gyllenhaal
Jesse
directed it.
Plemons. No.
Glow?
No,
Oh, with Maggie
Maggie
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal directed it. It also had
Daughter, Lost Daughter.
Lost Daughter.
Olivia
yes.
Colman, Lost Daughter. Yes.
Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Max.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's a great film. I pitched
Yeah.
it to you guys once. I was like, it's a great film. It came
Yeah.
out there. It was
Yeah.
also A24, no?
No, I don't believe so.
But Jessie Buckley is someone that people should definitely check out her work. She's very good with selecting all her stuff.
Yeah, she's
Great
kind of
catalog.
having a little comeuppance. We're finally seeing
Mhm.
her a lot lately.
Well, so let's. I wanted to know what it is that, because you watch a lot of horror, you direct horror, you know the genre pretty intimately. I go through a thing every 6 months where I feel nothing, I need to be scared, and that's when I start
Yes.
watching a bunch of horror movies. And so I did see Hereditary, and was
Nice.
profoundly disturbed by that one.
Yes.
And I think that's the mark of a good horror movie, I recently watched Midsummer, or as a lot of commentators,
Midsommar.
which
Wow.
bugs me, but fine. And Midsommar was not really, it wasn't a scary movie. There was a lot of disturbing stuff in it.
I mean, it's the whole nature. What if nature
Yeah.
even fails you? And folklore. That's another A24. They love their
Yes.
folk horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is going back to some real old world themes, which I appreciate, and I think that's maybe part of what makes it interesting, because the further back into the human experience we go, I think the deeper into our psyches the horror can operate.
Yeah.
But what do you see as the thing that sets these apart from other horror movies, aside from like the budget and the production value?
Yeah. Can I just say I'm loving your terminology in this segment. I feel like you. Can you repeat your question?
What is it? What's the thing? What's the
Pointed.
thing that, aside from the budget and the production values,
What
what
makes
is
this
it that
different?
what makes it an A24 movie?
A24 horror movies have these unsettling feelings throughout. And sure, there's some exceptions where you think it's an A24, but it just goes to show, like, the influence of A24 has.
Yeah.
We're gonna be mentioning this name a lot. I already know it, but they really hold the suspense, the psychological horror of nothing. Like there's this blankness that you're trying to come to terms with. You know, you feel like more movies would have like, oh, we need to be playing, loud, crazy music. And a lot of times it'll just maybe be like a little sound.
Yes.
You know?
Actually, I do want to take issue with, not even take issue, I want to praise Midsommar, because even just listening to the first 30 minutes of that movie, actually, the sound design is brilliant.
Yes.
And not just the what's the word? The non-diegetic sound. The on-screen sound.
Nice.
The chants. They were deliberately dissonant, the chord structures that they put into that, to really just make it unsettling, and just to be this thing that people are, oh, this is just how the song goes. And it's like, really, that's how the song goes? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the music, the silence, everything works, and even the pacing of the dialogue, everything's disorienting you and keeping you off guard.
But do you know what keeps it all together? What I found fascinating. Sorry, I know technical stuff, but I'm gonna tap into the actual story. Yeah. It's the fact that every horror reflects on the family, trauma, and loss. So 3 things that anyone can tap into and sort of lay kind of some sort of empathy or understanding for the character. It's so much easier to place yourself in this situation, but be placed in this completely distant world. It's
so far Ari Aster, who's done Hereditary and he's done Midsommar. He definitely has this like, what is the connection? What's the difference between family and cult? Because he's kind of merges them in this very scary or creepy, don't want to put scary down your throat.
Yeah.
But
that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, it's these striking visuals that are just eerie, and they're jarring, and they make you,
and they tell you.
Yes. If you really look at it, and a lot of these movies you have to watch 2 times.
That's
that's a big thing.
Even.
There's
foreshadowing
for sure, with like the murals that tell you the whole story. Some of the psychedelic elements, I think that's a good use of CGI, is when it's like something that should be tricking your mind, where you've got grass growing out of your hands
without those huge signs. Look there, look what's happening. It's very subtle in the background, but it makes you think it's like, that shouldn't be happening.
And then the overlaid picture of her sister breathing in the gas mask
at the end.
Field. It's like there's some really good work there. And then he does a really good job tapping into the irrational. And I think for a lot of storytelling these days, everything is really spoon-fed to you, and it's like, well, this happened, and this is the reason for that, and this happened, and so much of horror, but also of what makes anything interesting, is these are things that are left unexplained. We don't have an answer for you. You're left to wonder. And I think that ties in with what you were saying about nothing. It's like, we're not going to say anything about it.
It's just like another aspect of realism that they put in it, saying like, hey, closure isn't something that is guaranteed in life. A lot of times you don't get that.
You don't. Exactly. And, there is no ending.
A lot of these endings like just leave you with so many questions that you have no idea what to do. Like when I first saw Hereditary, I think I've said this before, but I was I was hanging out with somebody, and like afterwards I was like, don't touch me. Just give me.
I felt like I had to disinfect myself. I had that after Witch as well. I was like, I was so uncomfortable with everything.
Oh my gosh.
Not many films can do that.
Yeah, that's another one.
Which one's your favorite? Which one's your favorite, Roland? How can we make someone who has never seen A24 horror get into horror?
That's tough, because horror, there's so many different degrees of horror, and there's so many styles that go with it. But if you like these true crimes, if you like kind of like slow build. If you like thrillers and suspension and you want to be engaged with the story and you like smart movies, quote unquote, and looking into that's what A24 has.
Yeah.
It all these
They're
elements.
always more thoughtful.
Yeah.
Even in the non-horror genres.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a bunch of their movies that aren't necessarily horror.
Yeah.
But they're deeper. They're more thoughtful, and you can relate to the characters, and you can appreciate the story. Really, because there's a story, and that's what I like in a movie, and that's maybe what's different from other horror things, is that it's, well, we just worked out this new CGI thing, we've invented a new monster, or we're doing our own take on this monster,
Yeah.
and it's it's we scared you. And it's like, I don't need that. Like, again, tell me a story, and they always do.
I always say I appreciate when writers don't treat audience like idiots.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, we have eyes, we have brain, we can figure it out, or just leave us suspended, and it works. And
yeah, Robert Eggers and Ari Aster, these big time A24 directors. That's the thing. It's like, if you don't get the ending, then watch it again, because that's not my problem. I've given you all I can. It's up to you to decide.
Well, so
let your imagination work as well.
Yes.
Write your own. Yeah.
That's the best
ending.
horror factor that you can have. I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. Jaws was an amazing horror film because you didn't see the shark. American Werewolf in London, it was an amazing horror film for many reasons, but because you didn't see the wolf for so long. There's that suspension. It's what is this creature going to look like? And when you're thinking about that, it's going to be so much worse than anything that they can put on screen.
Yeah.
And The Lighthouse is another great movie. So interesting to see black and white. It's so indie and artsy, and it just goes to show like how fun A24 horrors, want it to be. Have you guys seen this movie?
I haven't.
I have. I watched it at a film festival in Zurich and stuff. It same reaction. People left. So people were very excited before the premiere, and after people left the cinema, there was just quiet. People were just like deeply shocked by what they've just witnessed. But cinematography was great. There was some acting conflict between Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. Apparently, they weren't on the same level, but you don't. I mean, it helps the characters. I think it helps the story to kind of have this attention.
That's a great cast, though.
It's a great cast. It's just they didn't get on, but obviously rumors, I cannot support that, but it helped the story, and it's weird. It's as we go with A24. But the one film that I really urge everyone to watch of A24 would be Saint Maud. It's one of the best films that came out in 2019, and it's probably one of the best horror films out there. Tapping onto religion and stuff. It's heavy. So,
another theme that is often put into A24 horror films is like the subtle religion that goes into it.
Exactly.
There's so many more, and it's not even like
even Ex Machina. You said you started with Ex Machina.
Ex Machina is one of like the early A24 films that have really put in the voice of A24. They had other movies like Tusk. That was one that's A24 that's just way out there that doesn't really fit the theme. Under the Skin, now we're kind of getting into it, but Ex Machina really started it. That was 2013. Same director as Men, Alex Garland, who was previously a novelist. He wrote novels. And it's one of it was Black Mirror, I think kind of around the time Black Mirror was coming out. Beautiful cinematography, and just world building, which I know Andrew doesn't really care about, but let me say
hey, you then you watch Oscar Isaac in this, and then you get to watch them in Moon Knight, and it's like, what happened? Who's deciding on what you're doing right now? So let's tell me like, if you could sell it in a sentence, even if somebody's not into horror,
What's the appeal here for anybody?
Let me think of this. Mags, do you have anything in mind? Oh no, I'm on the main
Yeah,
page.
it's
no.
your.
This
it's
is
all
about
you.
you.
I have no choice. Oh no, now I do it. No, I still okay. If I were to pitch it in one sentence, I would say I had something and then I totally lost it.
Oh, damn.
I would
I was
say
excited.
it's a good old indie suspense movie. You know, you gotta. That's all I can think of. I was put on the
Okay.
spot.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
realizing
put you on
this.
the
I'm
spot.
sorry.
I just,
Like,
you
in
know
this
what?
entire pitch, I'm supposed
I
to put
wanted,
it in one
I wanted
sentence.
to, I wanted to.
It's indie. It's indie at its best. I think.
Thank you,
If
Max.
you're into indie films, you need to watch A24. It's just imagine a collection of great indie films which doesn't fail consistently. The A24 just delivers a great film one after the other. So they're really onto something, and we really hope. I mean,
Yeah.
at least me and Roland, we're
Yeah.
just really hoping they're gonna maintain it. And
No,
we
I'm on the
watch
same
it.
page. I think if you're a fan of good storytelling and you are hungry for something that isn't a big blockbuster,
Yeah.
and just a cash grab, there are good movies coming out of this studio almost unfailingly. So they have a great track record. Check out some A24.
I hope our passion will give you enough passion to watch these movies, to Andrew, to our audience, to any of those out there. But we'll talk about this all the time, but we're not. We're going to talk about what we're going to be talking about next week in our little preview.
Oh boy. Hi, Dan.
Hey, I'm back. All right. Well, that was fun. I love listening to you guys talking about. There's a few movies in there you mentioned that I want to watch, a few that I've sort of seen, and then there's a few that you brought up that I hadn't even heard about. So, as somebody just listening to that conversation, I think there's a lot there for me to go and watch and enjoy. I think A24 is one of those unique production companies that in Hollywood today you don't see a lot of. I think they're not major. They're not even a mid studio. They're like a mini art house studio. They're based mostly out of New York, so they're not like an LA focused company either. I actually used to work for an agency where the lead producer's son was an intern at A24. And so every once in a while, and part of what he did was basically just like read scripts and kind of ideas that come across their desk, and he would occasionally just kind of like discuss it with his dad, and then he in turn would discuss it with me and the rest of the guys. And it was fun because they are doing something very different than what a lot of other movie studios are doing, and they hit it out of the park a lot. And recently they've had a great streak at the box office. I think if you look at like Everything Everywhere All at Once, you look at
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie. I mean,
Missed that.
they're able to attract these A-list talent, and they're able to attract. Well, Alex Garland, I think, rose to prominence to Ex Machina, but now he's somebody who Willem Dafoe or Robert Pattinson.
It was after Moonlight winning the Best
Yeah.
Picture. That's when they really landed on the map and started attracting those big names to the label.
But
kind of like the late 2010s. That's they were really
no,
absolutely. So A24 is on the rise. There was a time, late last year when these big acquisitions were happening, MGM bought by Amazon, Warner Brothers being bought by Discovery. People were wondering, well, do you think Apple TV Plus or Amazon might also buy A24? Not happened yet, but maybe. One of the things that A24 films do a lot of is play their movies at festivals. And that's something that I'd like to kind of pivot to, because next week we'll be talking not only reviews for Top Gun Maverick and Stranger Things and Obi-Wan Kenobi, everything we previewed this week. We're also going to be talking about the value of film festivals. So film festivals, Cannes Film Festival is where Top Gun Maverick did its international debut. And you see a lot of movies like go to festivals first, especially the indie scene, because that's kind of where you find your prominence, you get your reputation for your film, the filmmakers. There's some festivals like the Toronto International Film Festival, which is known to play a lot of the mainstream films. And there's other film festivals which only play very niche indie fare. What do you guys think about film, just quickly, because we're going to talk about it in more detail next week, but what do you guys think of the value of film festivals in our culture today? Because It's not something that the majority of people are aware of, that they attend. However, they do play a big role in kind of influencing the kind of content that the movie industry puts out and the mainstream audience gets to experience.
Well, I don't go to a whole lot of film festivals. In fact, I've never been to like a real big one, but I like the idea of giving independent artists a chance to show their stuff to the public, to compete with big studios and people, who we hear from all the time. And that's where sometimes we stumble upon some of the great films of our times. So I think they're of value for sure, and I wish there were more ways for independent artists to have their voices heard.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this film festivals have a value. It depends on, I guess, what you're looking to get out of a film festival, because there's different, like I said, different kinds of festivals have different personalities almost, because
Sure.
every festival has its own identity. They try to differentiate. Sundance is a big one, I think, that's kind of evolved in its identity over the years in terms of what it used to be versus what it is now. You go to Tribeca, it's a different kind of a feel. Roland, have you had experience with festivals before? Is that something that you're into? Do you go to a lot of them?
I've had limited experience. I've submitted some pretty bad short films to some film festivals, but I think they still have a very important factor in the film industry. There's so many filmmakers out there that have been able to, make a film and put it in a film festival and give it the recognition it deserves. Like Jim Cummings is a fantastic writer and director. I think we'll be seeing him a lot in the future. But he got his start in the film festivals and, from a short, and then he was able to make a movie, and that's happened many times. And I hope it keeps happening so we can have new voices getting their start.
Yeah.
But still
absolutely.
very exclusive circle though. It's hard
True.
not many filmmakers can even make it past application stage.
Yeah.
Max,
So,
I gotta ask you something, because we're gonna dive into this in detail next week, like I said before. But I think of all four of us, you probably have the most amount of experience with film festivals. Because tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have worked at festivals before, like with Zurich, and you sort of
yeah,
had the
I
inside
did.
track on how all of that gets
I
organized.
did. Yes, that
Yeah.
was the whole Switzerland experience. So there was this like Zurich festival, so I worked for it twice in a row. So it was very special to be able to see a lot of those films a year, sometimes almost two in advance. So before Lighthouse came out, I have seen it like 13 months before its release, like a theatrical release. And a lot of those films that, like, that's the sad part. A lot of those films that you get to see, you will probably never end up seeing unless you go to a film festival. So Andrew, like
Right.
you haven't been to a film festival, or you're never involved, but it's an interesting, expensive, it's pricey unless you work there.
Right.
It's an expensive experience, but I urge anyone out there to go and watch a lot of those films, because this is probably your only chance of even finding out a film like this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try it, give it a try. You might love it.
I might. I like festivals, period. When it's people who are not like music festivals, but like when people are gathering around something that they, just because of a common interest. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet like-minded people and people who are, to go anywhere and just be like, here's a bunch of people who know what they're talking about, and now we're gonna see some new stuff, and then we're gonna talk about it. Well, that's a good place to be.
It's called art.
Art. I'm a big fan of art.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think they're a good thing generally, but we'll dive deeper into that.
Yeah,
next
it's a good
week, it sounds
topic,
like.
looks
I
like
like
it.
that. Yeah. And then of course we're gonna have to watch Top Gun Maverick, and boy, am I excited to see that one.
I might actually watch Top Gun, the
I think you
80s
should.
one,
I think you
just
should.
to be on the same level as you guys. I'm excited. I watched the trailer quickly, and if you guys are saying Tom Cruise actually had to do those maneuvers, I'm like in awe.
Well,
how it looks like. It looks
there's a
stunning.
prop plane in the movie that he does fly. And obviously they're all in the jets that you're seeing them fly in. I don't know how
Right.
much of the flying they're actually doing themselves, because the F-18s that they use in the movie are twin seater planes. So you have two pilots, and so the one pilot who's flying the plane is not the one you're seeing on camera most of the time. However, I do believe, and I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure there's at least some sequences, like there's a sequence in the movie where they show Tom Cruise taking off from the aircraft carrier, which, by the
That
way,
was
landing and taking
amazing.
off an aircraft carrier is some of the hardest maneuvers any pilot anywhere in the world has to do, period, because of how difficult you have, how little runway you have to take, to fly off, and then you don't do it well, you're going to be in the water, and you're going to have cost millions of dollars to the taxpayers, and probably it's you're in the water, you're not like landing on the ground, so you might you better know how to swim with that, a lot of that gear on you dragging you down. So Tom Cruise, I believe he actually got a chance to fly one of the F-18s off the aircraft carrier, which honestly, just that fact alone just blows my mind. But
no,
rest assured,
This-
there's a
This
whole
man is a
family
machine.
of projects that are coming out next year, and we know that Andrew is excited about
What's
them.
real
Oh,
is family.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
I had to make
We
up for
were
that. I think I
missing.
mentioned family once earlier in the show, and I forgot to Toretto bomb us with that. But
Thank you for the Toretto bomb.
yeah, Toretto's been bombing Andrew's image all day today. We've got the muscle car there. We've got Toretto.
This makes me feel like Godzilla for real.
Yeah.
Tiny people.
Hobbs
Yeah,
on the other side.
Get them.
They're just beefing with each other in real life.
Me and Vin Diesel. Me and Vin. Me and the D's. Oh yeah.
D's,
We
yeah.
got some.
I mean, you're literally,
beef.
your background kind of lends itself to the franchise. They've spent a lot of time in those movies in LA, so yeah. All right. Well, to kind of to wrap up, we've talked about 3 big projects that are coming out next week: Top Gun: Maverick, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Stranger Things. Which of those are each of you the most excited about? So I'll start with you, Mags. Which of those 3 are you most excited to go watch, or watch at home, or go watch in the theater?
Top Gun. I got
Really?
you there. I got you there. You weren't expecting that. Well, guess.
All right, Andrew.
No, I'm excited to see Stranger
Okay.
Things too.
You're still
Let's yeah. There's a lot of things. It's a busy week, busy
week, for
schedule.
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be honest. Out of all of those things, Stranger Things is actually the most interesting to me. So, because I'm invested. I guess for Top Gun, like, I'm gonna want to see what stylistically carries over into the sequel. But I don't know. I'm more interested, I guess, in Stranger Things.
I know you
Yeah.
felt weird after
I
watching
did feel
the
weird.
original. That was your ultimate takeaway.
I did. I felt very
Roland,
weird.
what about you?
Stranger Things. What about you, Dan?
Oh, you put me on the spot here. It's I didn't think I was gonna answer my own question, but I will say Top Gun Maverick is by far the thing I'm most excited about. In fact, I'm so excited. I got myself tickets to go see it on Tuesday. I couldn't wait for Thursday. I couldn't wait for Friday. I just decided I had to go see it on Tuesday. So I asked Tom Cruise to do an early screening for me at my local AMC. I booked the whole theater, private,
guy.
taking my brother. I'm like just the 2 of us. The whole theater is empty. We're just gonna watch Top Gun Maverick a couple of days early. I'm just kidding. I actually found out the other day. Huh?
You're gonna be there on your own?
No. I'm joking. I literally
Okay.
just found out 2 days ago that they're doing an early screening of Top Gun, and it's at AMC. I thought actually at first that they were only doing it at Regal, but then I realized I was like, oh, let me check the AMC app, and they're doing one there too. Got my
Are you
tickets.
sure they're not showing the original one?
No.
Okay.
Because they have the
It
new
happened
poster and
before.
artwork. I would be incredibly disappointed if. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's the new one is, and you know what's weird though? Here's the thing: if they were showing the original, I wouldn't know until like 5 minutes into the movie because this movie supposedly starts literally the same way, but then at one
Oh.
point kind of cuts away and it differentiates itself. But you're gonna get the Kenny Loggins Highway to the Danger Zone and all the golden
Oh
hour
gosh.
shots of jets
Oh
on a
man.
carrier.
That's actually a big question I had throughout the movie. It was like every song in here dates this, like seriously dates this movie as being
Yeah.
an 80s movie. Are they, you think that the soundtrack and the score is going to be all synthy and 80s music all over again?
It's probably gonna try to balance it. I don't think it's well, like I said, Kenny Loggins' Highway to the Danger Zone is in there. It's in there. I
Yeah.
don't know how. I'm pretty sure it's just in the beginning,
Okay.
but
Strap in.
yeah. I mean, look, I personally, I'm all for that nostalgia, so uh, I'll, I'm gonna go for it if there
Alrighty.
is indeed all that music.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I did. We had some good talks today. A lot of good conversations, a lot of good insights. So hopefully we got curious enough for you.